Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's Chicago Board of Education meeting. Today is February 27, 2019. We're holding today's meeting in the boardroom at 42 West Madison Street. I'm Frank Clark, and on behalf of my fellow board members, I want to thank you all for coming today. Our order of business will be honoring excellence, followed by the CEO report, followed by public participation. We will then go into executive session, and then we will return to start the voting process. As always, I want to remind everyone that courteous and considered behavior and thoughtful behavior is both hoped for and expected. Madam Secretary, please lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. President. Please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The regular meeting of Wednesday, February 27, 2019 is hereby called to order. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Thank you, Mr. President. Member Furlong?
Present.
Member Garza?
Present.
Vice President Guzman?
Present.
Member Ward?
Present.
And President Clark?
Present.
We have 5 members present. There is a quorum, and I would also like to recognize Dr. Janice Jackson, our CEO, Joseph Moriarty, our General Counsel, Latanya McDade, our Chief Education Officer, and Elizabeth Kirby, Chief of Diverse Learners and Support Services. Elizabeth Keenan, Chief of Diverse Learners and Support Services, and I also like to recognize our honorary student board member, Aisha Ahmed, and our shadow student today is Jasmine Ceballos from Hancock High School. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Aisha, would you please introduce Jasmine?
Hello. Thank you, President Clark. Today we are joined by Jasmine Ceballos, a senior at Hancock College Preparatory High School. Jasmine, would you like to say a few words?
I would like to thank President Clark and the members of the board for this opportunity. I'm the president of Student Council, captain of Underwater Robotics, and a participant of the Science Olympiad, math team, Chicago Associations of Student Councils, and National Honor Society. I enjoy volunteering as a medical assistant intern at the Jesse White Veterans Memorial Hospital, a community violin teacher, a bilingual translator, a Freshman Connections Bridge student advisor, and Immigration Conference student liaison. I'm honored to be part of this board meeting. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you very much. Chief McDade.
Good morning. We begin each Board of Education meeting by recognizing the talents and accomplishments of our students and our school communities. We will begin by welcoming the Jazz Combo from Morgan Park High School, along with their director, Ms. Shamika Nash, who has a long history of leading exceptional music ensembles at Morgan Park, and they are also joined by their principal, Dr. Femi Skanes. This group was one of the highest adjudicated ensembles at the 2018 CPS Jazz Festival, which afforded them the opportunity to play at Chicago Jazz Fest last Labor Day weekend. They will be performing One for Train by Mickey Bass.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I'm Dr. Femis Gaines, proud principal of Morgan Park High School.
Okay, so we are the Morgan Park High School Jazz Combo from Chicago's Beverly Morgan Park area. We have had several recent successes. Most recently, our Jazz Combo was invited to perform at the Celebrating Chicago Jazz Education Festival during the Midwest Clinic. This invitation was garnered from our 2018 Chicago Jazz Festival performance. Our jazz class meets every day. We practice after school and during summer months as well. In addition to our daily classes, we attend to local jazz concerts and master classes with many professional jazz musicians. Thank you for the opportunity to showcase our creativity and our hard work.
Wow. So, good morning again. Very briefly, I just want to tell you all thank you for the opportunity to recognize our Morgan Park Jazz Combo. And I would also like to give a big round of applause to Ms. Shamika Nash, who is not only our band director, but she's also our Fine Arts Department chair. She's been in Morgan Park for 15 years, and this level of perfection and performance couldn't happen without her dedication. So I just want to publicly acknowledge her for all of her dedication over the years. And I'd also like to recognize Mr. Frank Morrison, who was on the drums. He was just featured by the Illinois Music Association as one of the best high school drummers in the state of Illinois. And finally, I also want to highlight Jamal Broy, who was on the camera. There he is around there. He was on the camera also representing our fabulous journalism program. So again, thank you for the opportunity to highlight Morgan Park High School this morning.
I don't know that I have this quote correct, but it goes something like this, music soothes the soul. Not that we need that in this room. Everyone here is calm and tranquil, but what a wonderful way to start our day. Thank you so much.
Beautiful. Thank you, Morgan Park. Next, we would like to congratulate the chess team from my alma mater, Whitney Young High School. These students outperformed 127 teams in a 2-day, 7-round tournament to become this year's IHSA state champions in chess. The Dolphins chess team has won first place twice in the past 4 years. Please join me in congratulating head coach Paul Cash, assistant coaches Dan Hart and Charles Swan, and the championship chess team from Whitney Young.
Thank you very much for allowing us to be here, Dr. Jackson, Chief McDade, the rest of the board. It's always great for the team to be recognized for our accomplishments. I also want to thank Sylvia Nelson-Jordan, Arlesia Taylor, and the staff at Academic Competitions who does a great job running chess and CPS. I'd obviously be remiss not to thank my principal, Dr. Kenner, who for 14 years has been an endless supporter of the chess program, and we probably are not here without her running the school. Most of all, though, I have to thank the students here who have helped me be a 5-time state champion, because certainly without them I wouldn't be here. So just very quick introductions. On my far left, we have our 2 freshmen, Aria Hosley and Daniel Zhang, and then our junior, Dennis Glutchis. They will be our top 3 players next year, hopefully trying to win a 6th state championship. The rest of the kids are all seniors. They are arguably, well, maybe not even arguably, the best senior class in the history of Illinois chess. They've won 2 state championships. They've come in 2nd place and 3rd place, and they were co-national champions last spring. We all hope to be national champions again in 3 weeks. So just very quickly, Dino Vasquez, Matthew Stevens, Ricky Roman, Robert Batunjak, and Nikhil Kilgatke. His brother Akil is not here. He was also one of our top players. Nikhil is going to speak next. He was a perfect 28-0 in his 4 years at the Illinois State Chess Championship, something I don't think has ever been done before. So.
First of all, I would like to thank my teammates because they worked very hard, each and every one of them, for us to be here today. And I would also like to thank our coach, Mr. Cash. because he's worked hard for many years. I don't know how many he's been there before me. And he says every year that the goal of our program is to have fun trying to win a state championship. And this year we managed to do that. So it was a great year for all of us. Thanks.
Thank you. And congratulations to you all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As all of you depart, I like to say that I played chess in high school. I did. Actually, I did. I just didn't win anything. My heartiest congratulations and all my respect, and I speak not just for myself, but the entire board. That's a wonderful accomplishment. And there are all types of studies that what chess does for academic achievement, and this group of, all of you are demonstrating that in a very big way. So congratulations to all of you.
Bravo.
Thank you.
Thank you. Finally, it is my pleasure to welcome Mr. Brian Coleman, who was recently named the 2019 School Counselor of the Year by the American School Counselor Association. Brian serves as a school counselor at Jones College Prep High School, and anyone who has had the privilege of working with him knows how deserving he is of this recognition. Brian is known for setting the bar high. He meets all of his students where they are and will come up with a plan to maximize their potential. Meeting his students' social and emotional needs is as important to Brian as the stellar academics and post-secondary accomplishments that are the hallmark of Jones College Prep. I thank Mr. Coleman for his advocacy, his love of diversity, and his holistic approach to school counseling, and congratulate him on this prestigious award. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Brian Coleman, Counselor of the Year.
I don't know how to follow that. Thank you so much. Really very kind, thoughtful words. And thank you so much for having me here today. This is incredible. The music is popping. This is if every board meeting is this exciting, I'm coming every time. So I'll be ready, right? I have to thank, I'm here with Dr. Plunkett, one of our assistant principals at Jones College Prep. I have to thank the wonderful administration at Jones for their support. Over the years, they believe in the work of counseling, comprehensive counseling services, and I think that's so incredibly important. I'm so grateful to all of you and to the work being done in CPS to really elevate the brand of school counseling near and far. This is our second year in a row that we have a School Counselor of the Year at the national level. So I want to snap it up. Clearly, there are some incredible things happening here, and I'm so excited to represent our wonderful city, my school, and my school community in this way. And I have to last thank my incredible students at Jones College Prep. I love you. I would not be here if not for you sharing your stories, your lives, your experiences with me, and the amazing team that we have at Jones. I truly believe it takes a village to support our youth, from our teachers and our front office staff and our administrators and our clinicians. We all, and our parents and guardians, we're all working together to make this happen, and I know I would not be here without them. Thank you so very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I just want to congratulate Brian, and it was never a doubt in my mind that he would be the winner. I have been fortunate and blessed to know Brian for the last 6 years. I have firsthand seen what he has done for students, what he's done for our community. So there was never a doubt in my mind who the National School Counselor of the Year was going to be. But here he is right now, and I just want to say, Brian, I couldn't be more proud to stand next to you here.
Oh.
Well, the importance of what you do, it speaks for itself. I would cite one of my experience with school counseling a while ago, and the enthusiasm and the commitment that you obviously have, it oozes out of your pores based on just watching you here, it's just wonderful. Board members, any other comments? Congratulations. Do it again.
All right. Congratulations, Brian.
Congratulations.
I will now share a brief update on the academic RFP process we launched earlier this school year. In October, we provided schools throughout the district with the opportunity to apply for new high-quality academic programs. More than half of the approximately 100 schools who expressed interest met requirements to participate in the full RFP process and have submitted proposals to strengthen their schools. The vast majority of qualifying schools submitted formal proposals to the district, which are now being carefully evaluated. We want schools to be able to begin planning for new programming as soon as possible, and we are excited to announce that those decisions will be made next month. Our hope is that this new application process will create a stronger sense of ownership among school communities and empower them to establish academic programming that best meets their school's needs. CPS is committed to building trust, empowering families, and making sure that every child from every community has the academic options that will best meet their needs. We are also committed to helping our children embrace and celebrate who they are, which is why I am glad our students have spent time this month studying African American history and its connection to Chicago. From our city's founding by Jean-Baptiste Point du Sable in 1779 to the election of our nation's first African-American president in 2008, Chicago is forever linked to the African-American experience. I thank our teachers and school leaders for sharing this history with our students and for encouraging them to explore the contributions of African-American scholars, artists, and change makers. It is important that our children study the past, but as their leaders, we must continue to look forward, building on the legacy of those who've paved the way toward greater equality. One way to do this is by teaching our students to be proud of who they are and celebrate their diversity. Another is to recruit, develop, and retain a workforce that better reflects the diversity of our schools. We must also celebrate the men and women of color who are already doing great things in CPS, which has been the focus of our district's social media presence this month. I encourage you to explore these stories by following Chicago Public Schools on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We have been featuring our educators of color and asking them why they have invested their lives in this critically important work. You can also learn about our district's 2019 Golden Apple finalists on our social media as well. We recently featured 7 teachers from 5 Chicago public high schools who have been named finalists for the 2019 Golden Apple Award for Excellence in Teaching. They are Nicole Cordero, Robert Edwards, Greta Kringle, Letitia Ragoza, Athena Travis, Aaron Unander, and Angela Young. Only 32 teachers in the entire state of Illinois have been named finalists, and nearly a fourth of them are teaching in Chicago Public Schools. In addition, 3 of our top principals, Lillian Lazou, Joshua Long, and Anna Pavekovich, have been named finalists for the Golden Apple Award in Excellence in Leadership. I congratulate all of these educators on earning this recognition. Whether or not they receive the ultimate award, these teachers and school leaders have already proven they are integral to our mission of shaping Chicago's future generations. This concludes the Chief Education Officer report, and I would like to now turn things over to our CEO, Dr. Janice Jackson.
Thank you, Chief McDade. Just a few additional updates for the board and everyone present. Over the past decade, we have seen more and more dramatic results with regard to students graduating better prepared for college, career, and life in Chicago Public Schools. We're excited about the progress that has been made. I've talked about progress such as the increased freshman on track rates to graduation rates, as well as so many other metrics moving in the right direction. But as a district, we've said time and time again that we will not rest on our laurels. This is why it's important to take the next logical step, which is to really strengthen the process and the bridge between high school and post-secondary for our scholars. Last year, we announced Learn, Plan, Succeed, a signature policy initiative in the district that guaranteed that every student would graduate with a post-secondary plan in their back pocket, preparing them for the next phase of life. This month, we release post-secondary reports to each student in 10th and 11th grade to outline the progress that they've made to date and to help them begin the college planning process sooner than we have in the past. This is one of the additional supports that we're providing to our school communities so that they are prepared for the next chapter in life, whether that is to go to college, enlisting in the armed services, or starting a fulfilling career through an apprenticeship in the trades. We're really happy that we have broadened our approach to post-secondary access and options for our students, and we believe that Learn, Plan, Succeed and the accompanying reports will help students make better decisions. We're also excited about the opportunity to strengthen three-way conversations between our families, students, and the school counselors. As an educator and a parent, my dreams for my students extend far beyond high school graduation, and it's important that we have the same goals for our own children that we have for the students that we serve here in Chicago Public Schools. I would also like to provide the board with an update on our annual regional analysis. As Chief McDade mentioned in her remarks, we are at the tail end of the academic programming change process, where over 100 schools apply for a program change and focus. Just like last year, we will release the 2019 ARA, which will provide families with even greater detail about the types of schools and programs that are available in their community. It will also ensure that everyone in the district is working from the same set of facts to make informed and equitable decisions for their schools. I was thrilled about the number of families and communities that we were able to engage in last year's ARA data presentation, and the opportunity to collaborate side by side with both school leaders and community members was something that we count as a success. However, we know that we need to continue to work to engage families, to engage more families and engage them in deeper ways. As Chief McDade mentioned, we are now working to determine which schools will receive those programmatic investments next fall, and we plan to make those announcements next month. As a parent, I'm passionate about providing our families with the information that they need to make the best possible decisions for their children. I also want to thank the families. I also want families to be familiar with the systems that CPS has put in place to protect Chicago's children. For that reason, I'm going to invite Jadine Chow, our Chief Safety and Security Officer, to the podium now to provide us with an update on the district strategies to keep our kids safe. Both Chief Chow and I have heard questions and concerns from parents and community members about safety in light of recent events in our nation and in our schools, and we would like to share more information about our expansive and holistic approach to protecting Chicago's children. Jadine?
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson, and I'd like to start by thanking everyone here today for the opportunity to talk about this most important subject, the topic of safety of our children. We've been meeting with our leadership, as Dr. Jackson just said, herself, Chief McDade, and all of the board members. We've been giving you regular updates on the progress we are making in response to some of the things that we have heard over the last several months. It's very important for us to share this information. We attend many meetings with parents. I attend local school council meetings, and the thing I hear consistently is parents want information about the things that we are doing to keep our children safe. And so this is essentially one of many opportunities that we'd like to take to get in front of our parents, to get in front of our communities, to explain these safety strategies. So to start with, great. We've made a lot of progress on this. So for those of you who've been working in education for a while, you may remember the old paradigm. A lot of what we say is, if we just deter students, if we could just send a message, that old paradigm of zero tolerance, we now know from research, is not effective. It does not support student achievement, nor does it support safety. So in the past, a lot of these exclusionary and punitive consequences that we used to use, these enforcement-only type strategies, have not been effective. And so CPS was a pioneer in ensuring that we are taking a much more progressive, research-based approach. And so we've moved to a new paradigm that speaks to one that supports students, that reinforces their safety and keeps them in the classroom. We know that whatever happens in a child's life during the week, over the weekend in the classroom, is carried with them every single day. And so we are taking a 24/7 approach. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We would like to partner with families and schools and the children themselves to make sure that they are safe every minute of their life. We're doing this by partnering with the Office of Network Supports, the Office of Social Emotional Learning, community organizations, and of course our schools, by delivering training, by delivering a progressive student code of conduct that again keeps children in the classroom and does not exclude them from their education. That's what we want to talk about today. So I'm going to go into a few of the strategies and initiatives that we've been taking over the past few years. Thanks to the leadership of our CEO and our Chief Education Officer, we've had a lot of support in getting behind these strategies and making sure that all children are supported. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is what we as a district have done with our security officers. So in the past, their role has primarily been one of enforcement. So if you need someone to remove a child from a classroom and take them to the principal's office, that's something that they could assist with. We have worked with students in 2012 to interview hundreds of students. What do you think you need to feel safe in your school? And more specifically, what do you see as the role of the security officer? And no matter where we were in the city, no matter what region, no matter what socioeconomic demographic, we're the same things. I would like our security staff to be professional. I would like for them to be fair. And I'd like for them to build relationships with us. So that became the theme of everything that we're doing going forward with changing the culture of what we're doing with our security officers. So some of the things that we've retrained them on technical security. So these are the fundamental things that you would expect from a security officer, things like screening, audit checks, understanding emergency preparedness, understanding how to build relationships. But in addition, we've worked to deliver, and they certify every year, on what we call safety care, which are safe intervention strategies that we use for our security officers that understand and take into account behavioral challenges that everybody goes through. And so you look at it through that lens. And so when someone is going through a moment, how do we respond and support them instead of just assuming that they're doing it on purpose or what have you. These safe interventions can also be physical in nature, and we want to make sure if it does come to that level where it's highly escalated, where someone is a risk to themselves or others, that it's done safely. A few other things in addition to that those security topics are how do we work to expand what security officers do, again, in the spirit of protecting children. So we've been working with the Office of Student Protections in preventing sexual abuse situations by understanding and knowing how to report issues related to sexual harassment, misconduct, abuse, and also explaining to our security guards to make sure that they understand, that they and those around them understand the boundaries and consequences. Our department also trained security officers on implicit racial bias. That was very important. Interestingly, a lot of our security officers, the majority of our security officers are people of color, and they asked, why do I need this? I understand this, but when they went through the training, through the experiences, they, like many others who've gone through this type of training, understand and learn that there is unconscious bias that you might not even be familiar with. And so by going through this training, you can better understand yourself, slow down your thinking, and then hopefully make better choices in working with our children. The last area is we were one of the first departments to train on safe and supportive environments for LGBTQ students. And so partnering with the Department of Health and Wellness and Social Emotional Learning, we developed a curriculum just for security officers, which helped them understand, again, how they can train, how they can support students who are LGBTQ. Along this line, too, I want to talk a little bit about Chicago Police. Many of you are aware that we have Chicago Police officers, full-time uniformed CPD officers inside of our schools. It is very important to all of us here at Chicago Public Schools that we understand the role that they play, and that is to keep our children safe. One of the things that you may also be aware of is that there is now a consent decree that the Chicago Police Department is entering into, which will help define improved reform strategies around the areas of training, roles and responsibilities, and selection criteria. We are partnering with the Chicago Police Department in developing an MOU that will help essentially codify those areas, but we're going to do that with a lens from what we hear from parents, students, and communities. So we are working to seek that input, and we will be working with schools and communities to get that feedback in the coming weeks and months. Some of the things that we're looking for, particularly in the area of training, are clearer procedures and guidelines, which includes those roles and responsibilities, cultural awareness, de-escalation strategies, and crisis intervention in the event that there's a moment of an emergency where, again, someone's a danger to themselves or others. In addition, during this process, we're going to improve our training for our school administrators to help our school administrators understand the role that these SROs, school resource officers, play inside of the schools. This is to say that, and this is already in our student code of conduct and our protocols, but we would ask SROs to only intervene in situations that are criminal in nature and or involve serious threats to a student, the school, or staff. These are things that are in place today, but again, we're going to continue to reinforce this as we implement and partner with CPD on this consent decree. The next initiative I want to talk about is Safe Passage. I think most people are familiar with Safe Passage. This is a program that's been around since 2009. In 2011, we had 35 schools. We have over quadrupled, I think maybe quintupled, the number of our schools to 159 schools. We are very excited to say that during all this time, as I know our board members are aware because we briefed them on this, we have not had a single serious incident involving one of our students on a Safe Passage route during operational hours. For those of you who are not familiar, we partner with 20 community-based organizations. These organizations then hire community Safe Passage workers who live in the communities that they serve. There are 1,300 Safe Passage workers that support over 75,000 students annually, and the list keeps growing as we get more schools into the program. We're really grateful to all of these Safe Passage workers. They're out there every day that our children are traveling to and from school, and we've seen a reduction in 32%, essentially year over year, on crime along Safe Passage routes when we're, again, on those routes. Another area, and I know this is top of mind of everyone, anti-bullying. We are working very hard here at CPS to ensure that we are implementing our anti-bullying policy with fidelity. This anti-bullying policy is already in place. For those of you who have not seen it, it's inside of our student code of conduct, but it's also something that's beyond words that we want to talk about. Policies do us no good if they are just in a booklet. And so what we really are working to do is breathe life into these policies and making sure that schools understand these, but also that our parents understand these anti-bullying policies, which essentially give a step-by-step protocol in the event that there is an allegation of bullying. We're partnering with Office of Student Protections as well as our legal department to make sure that there is adherence to those guidelines. But even more importantly, we'd like to prevent bullying incidents. And so one of the things that we're doubling down on is working with our partners in social emotional learning to implement supportive school climate strategies. This includes training on these strategies, restorative justice. Some of you have maybe heard of a curriculum called Second Step, and also making sure that any disciplinary action gets to the root of an issue, meaning we're not just going to impose an out-of-school suspension, what have you. We're going to understand where that problem is coming from and what is the root of that so that we can address it for the long run. Some people ask me, why is this in my portfolio? We have a jobs program. Again, safety means safety holistically. We're very fortunate to have a partnership with two wonderful organizations, Chicago and Beyond and a program called, or an organization called CRED. They have been supporting us financially and as thought partners to support a program where our students from high-risk situations go into CPS schools and renovate our school auditoriums. So it's a double benefit in that our young people get wonderful opportunities and they get a little cash in their pocket, and then we get a brand new auditorium. And so these are programs that we'd like to continue. We've done over 89 schools. The bad news is we're running out of auditoriums, so I got to worry about that in the near future. But these students learn not only budgeting and construction skills, but they also learn SEL skills. They have mentoring supports as they come every day, and they're building friendships with other young people that they might have never met before, might have never thought they could be friends with before, and that kinship carries with them even after they left the program. We got a couple more programs I want to talk about. Thank you for bearing with me. The next one is the Connect and Redirect to Respect program, CRR for short. This is our social media program. And a lot of you probably know that social media can be a trigger for some activities that may not be positive. And so one of the things that we do is we let families know, we let schools know. If you see something that's posted on, say, a Facebook or a Snapchat, please send that to us. And then what we do from that is we will investigate it, and then we will do an intervention with those that are involved in that social media conflict. The intervention is the connect and redirect part of the title, which means that we connect with a student, and then we connect them to also services, supports, mentoring, possibly jobs, and again, for the purpose of reducing the conflict and mitigating it altogether. We worked with the University of Chicago Crime Lab, and there was actually a study. We had treatment schools and control schools, and what we saw was in the treatment schools, I mean, those are the schools that we were really focused on with this effort, up to a 50% reduction in misconducts in the schools, 60% reduction in out-of-school suspensions, and up to a 30% reduction in shooting victimization rate. This supports the other strategies going on in the schools and has been so effective that we've adopted this as just really the way we do our business. So when we get social media posts from parents, students, and schools, we follow this intervention process, and we found it to be very effective. The last program I'm going to talk about is one that's actually on the board agenda. It's the Choose to Change mentoring program. It's a combination of services provided by a youth advocate program, and they have a sub-partnership with Children's Home and Aid. And what it is highly intensive mentoring where students ages 13 to 18 can have essentially week-long, 24/7 access to their mentors so that when they need supports, they have someone to go to. They get cognitive behavioral therapy through this program and these wraparound services. What we've seen, again, University of Chicago Crime Lab did a randomized control trial test on it, and what they found was students who were in the program saw a 51% reduction in arrests in the 12 months once they started the program, but then it continues. After they've left the program, we continue to see another 50% reduction in violent arrests even after they've left the program. But wait, there's more. In addition to that, the students who they are friends with, the networks that they associate with, their peers, also saw a spillover effect. 48% reduction in their friends' arrests. So that positive reaction and results from the program also impacts their friends. So out of all of this, and there is many more, but I'm not going to take up the whole board meeting. There's many more programs and partnerships with the schools that we do. Just want to take 1 minute to talk about the results. So district-wide, if we look at the decrease in misconducts, which is essentially kind of a proxy for school climate, we have seen a 29% reduction in district-wide misconducts. We've also seen, and I don't have a bar graph for it, a 77% reduction in out-of-school suspensions during the same time period. We've also seen an 83% reduction in expulsions during this time period and a 46% reduction in CPD notifications. all that translates to we're keeping children in the classroom, we're not excluding them from their educational experiences, and we're hopefully getting to the root of the issues that will cause misconducts in the first place, and doing it in such a way that is supportive of our schools, of our children. One of the things, though, we take all of this, we've been talking about all these different efforts. There are things that we've been doing over the last several years. Individualized emergency plans and safety plans. We do school audits. We support our students with behavioral health teams and MTSS teams. We do SEL training for our adults, and as I mentioned, we train our security officers. We're pleased to announce that we're going to take all of these efforts and wrap them into one, essentially one large framework called the Safe School Certification. Rolling it out this coming year so that by fall, we will be able to assign these Safe School certifications to all of our schools, so parents will know that their school has achieved this and has been deemed as going through all of these very important components. This is something that we'll be partnering with our schools and our parents, and we're very excited, and more information to follow. And the last slide, thank you, it's very important, as I want to reiterate, Dr. Jackson was talking about this, the importance of building relationships with parents. We have gotten ongoing feedback that communication is key, transparency is key. We are committing as a district to making sure, especially as it pertains to the things that we've been talking about today, that we're going to keep parents informed and that we'll continue to ensure that we will deliver on our promise to keep our children safe. And with that, I will conclude.
Thank you. Board members, questions?
Yes. Yes, I do. Jadine, thank you so much for your packet of information. I've always enjoyed every interaction I've had regarding safety with you and your messages. In fact, we begin each meeting with a message about safety, and we can't hear it enough for the schools and for what your curriculum and program is entailing. Thank you so much for that. Also, how often are the security guards met with and have an opportunity to for certification reasons?
So the safety care training is they must go through annual certification. What we're looking to do with the new Safe School certification is put all of our security officers through the certification of all of those curriculum every year. So it will be an annual once a year. The other thing we're doing, let me see what happened to it. The other thing we're doing, I just want to mention, is we're moving to a pre-screening hiring pool for the district. Most people may not know or may know that the security officers who work in the schools are hired by the principals, and that will continue, and they will have the autonomy to select their security officers. We are going to help create a hiring pool that we will vet centrally to make sure that the security officers have gone through the necessary vetting, and through that, those security officers will then go through a mandatory curriculum before they're allowed to go on the floor at a school. So that will ensure that all the security officers who are in the building in front of our children have gone through the necessary training.
One more thing, if I may. You know, I've had opportunity when I visit schools to meet with the Safe Passage workers, and I think that they are often heroes in the stories that I hear, and for the work that they do to protect the kids in the schools. I think it's amazing. So just a shout out for that program and how wonderful I think it is.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes,
Frank. Jadine, you know, just to reiterate a little bit of what Gail said, really good reviews you do with us periodically about safety, and clearly there's been an evolving or an evolution of strategies in here as you get smarter and smarter about better ways to improve security and safety without having an army sitting in every one of the schools. With that in mind, as you continue to get smarter and smarter and evolve, describe the adequacy of the resources you have. And it's important. I realize it's not unlimited.
Yeah, so I have a very strong team of centralized people, safety managers that are assigned to the schools. They don't have offices, they're in the schools, in the field. In addition, we have a command center that's 24/7 that's sufficiently staffed. One of the things that we're constantly looking at is ensuring that the security staff, that the allocations are in the schools are commensurate with the needs of the schools. That's what we're working on right now. We're working with the budget team, and as we enter the budget season, we'll be working with principals for that feedback. The additional thing that we're going to build on is the Safe School certification, that last page that I presented. We are going to fill out that resources for that component because that is something that's currently shared among responsibilities of the other people on my team. And so that will help us tremendously. We'll fill that out a little bit, and that will help us support the schools more.
So just kind of on a, we've gone through vacancy on another subject matter here and special ed and social workers and all the strategies underway to improve, to fill those positions. What's the challenge for you with vacancy? Do you have a lot of vacancy? Are you able to fill open positions quickly?
I mean, my observation has been on vacancies, and one of the things we're trying to do is create career paths for our staff. And so my vacancies are primarily created because people are getting promoted and getting courted by other areas, so schools, other departments. That's a good thing. We want to see our team moving into opportunities that advance their personal goals. That in mind, we're very strict on our criteria. And so we don't just want any person just to fill a seat. And so I think it's finding the right person that has been our biggest challenge. People say they want to do work on security, and we want them to understand that this is what we're talking about. It's not just coming in here and doing, sort of the kind of security that you might think it is. This is about supporting children. That's hard work. It's vulnerable work. When we ask you to build relationships with human beings, you put yourself out there. Those are the kind of things that require a special person, and that has been the bigger challenge versus like finding people who can do the job. Because we can train people to do the job, but what we can't do is train your hearts and minds. We got to find people who really care about our children.
Thanks.
Any other questions, board members? I have a series of questions.
Okay.
The first one, when you started, you mentioned that you conducted a survey with students, and the feedback you got was pretty consistent, starting with respect to security guards.
Yep.
Specific to that, that students wanted the security guards to be, I think you said, professional. You also said fair.
Yes.
And that struck me as interesting. Is the indication from that or implication from that that the students don't think that our security guards are professional and fair?
Early on, again, when we were in the zero tolerance enforcement mode, the feedback that we got was that some security officers, not all of them, but there was a tendency for people to play favors. And so, well, I like this set of students better, and so I'll look the other way if they do whatever. They want even. We had students, and we have a video on this, which one day we'll put online after they all graduate. One of the things that they said was, I don't mind, if you're a security officer or principal, I don't mind if you call me out on it. If I made a mistake, I am fine if you call me out on it. But make sure that if someone else makes that same mistake, that you call them out on it too. Like, be fair about it. That's what they meant by fair.
And even though the security guards at schools are hired locally, and do they report into the principal? Is that also what you're saying?
Yes. So the school security officers that are assigned to schools, solid line into principals. We have a dotted line relationship at central office to them. We do the training. We support the principals in making sure that there's even management, so there's consistency in standards, and work with them on ensuring that, again, there's essentially even care. So meaning we want everyone essentially using the same philosophy.
Okay. There's been so much focus and attention, as it should be, on safety. And there's a lot of information out there that is more perception than factual. One of the fact versus perception issues when was the last time there was a shooting inside of a CPS school?
Over 10 years ago, we had a non-fatal shooting inside of one of our schools.
So it's been a decade since there was a shooting inside of a CPS school?
Yes.
Now, that's something to be proud of. As I hear myself ask the question, I don't want to set up make ourselves a target either. But that's something that's probably commonly known. So we've gone a decade without a single shooting inside of a CPS school.
That's correct. And that is based on, that's not magic. That's based on hard work by our school administration, support of our parents, and support of our students. And I think it's really important. We talk about this, a lot of questions going on around how we keep those kind of incidents outside of our schools. One of our biggest safety strategies is having relationships with our students. When our students feel comfortable speaking with a teacher or a principal, they will alert them to dangerous situations. And it's those strategies that we've evolved to that have helped us to keep up that statistic. So I just want to make sure, it's not necessarily like hardened targets, not necessarily metal detectors. It's really these relationships that our leadership at the schools really forge, and the teachers. And so I just, I really just want to commend all of them. And it's important to note that the parents play a role in that too. They're coming forward with stuff that we work on as well. And so the last slide that I presented showed, again, it's really a priority for us for making sure that we're communicating so that people do know the kind of things that you were just asking. Because there is a perception, and it's not.
The perception is Chicago is a very violent city, plagued with constant gun violence. That perception actually statistically is incorrect, but I'm not going to debate that. Focusing specifically on the schools, I don't think I think most people would be surprised to hear that we've gone a decade without a single shooting in any of our 650-plus facilities. Right. That's an incredible achievement. On the other hand, now that I've made it such a public statement, I don't want to become a target either. But you've done, the system, the district has done an extraordinary job there. It's hard to do. And to do it for an extended period of time. So with some of the things happening around the country, and so I won't mention the other districts, I don't want to highlight something so terrible and negative, but where you've had massive violence in some other districts, we continue to have had none for a decade.
That's correct.
What the challenge is, keep it up.
That's right. Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, J.D. President Clark, we have one additional presentation, a short one. Sadie Stockdale, the Deputy Chief of Staff, will provide us with an update on school actions for 2019 and the 2020 school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, members of the board, President Clark, Dr. Jackson, Chief McDade. I am here to present briefly on the 2 proposed school actions. As a quick reminder, overview of the legal process you have in front of you, on October 1st of last year, we published our draft guidelines for school actions. On December 1st, we published our proposed school actions, which I'll cover today. In January, we held 2 community meetings and 1 public hearing per school action. And then today, we are bringing these proposals before you for your vote. The first is closing Team Community Academy at the end of this school year. As a reminder, with no board action, this school will close effective July 1st, 2021, given a board action last year. As of 20th day this school year, there were 0 students enrolled at Team Inglewood, which per our draft guidelines allow a school to be closed. All students have either graduated or transitioned to another high school. You have the details of that in front of you. At the end of last school year, there were 76 students enrolled at Team Inglewood. A third of these went on to graduate. The remaining 47 now attend a different high school in CPS. I'll note that every single one of those students is currently receiving transition supports through transportation, through safe passage routes, and each school that received students was required to submit a plan this summer that talked about their transition support, and those schools are receiving $6,100 per student to provide those supports. We have been monitoring and tracking students and providing updates to both Dr. Jackson and Chief McDade about those students' progress. And then, as such, we're also opening, as you know, a brand new high school in the Inglewood community next year, and we're really excited about that. Team Inglewood, I'll note, has no attendance boundary as well. So our recommendation to the board with 0 students is that we vote to close the school at the end of this school year. The second proposed school action is around Cooper Dual Language Academy and Orozco Community Academy. Let me explain just the current configurement of those schools. Right now, Cooper is currently a K through 5 elementary school and neighborhood school in the Pilsen neighborhood. When students leave 5th grade, they then transition over to Orozco, which is 0.5 miles down the street. Orozco has 2 different programs. They have a K through 8 gifted bilingual program, and then they also have that 6th, 7th, 8th neighborhood program. This proposal was brought to us in October by both local school councils, by elected officials, by community members, and they are asking Chicago Public Schools to add grades to Cooper until they're fully K-8, while at the same time building out Orozco's gifted program. We've listened to the community, and as such, we are bringing that proposal to you today. I should note for both school actions, we met the requirements for the 2 community meetings, as well as the public hearing. The hearing officer in both situations came back in favor of CPS's recommendation. That's all I have today. Happy to answer any questions about both of these proposals.
Board members? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. That concludes the CEO's report.
Okay. I have just one announcement to make, the same one I make at every board meeting, and that's to encourage you to use our website, which is cpsboe.org. One of the best ways to interact with the board in between board meetings and arrange if you need to actually meet with one of the board members to discuss your issues. And with that, Madam Secretary, please share the details for the next board meeting.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next board meeting will be held on Wednesday, March 27, 2019 at the CPS Loop office. Advanced registration will open at 10:30 a.m. Monday, March 25, 2019, and will close on Tuesday, March 26, 2019 at 5 p.m. or until all slots are filled, whichever is first. If anyone has any questions about this process, please contact the board office for our assistance. Thank you.
Okay, well, we will move into public participations now. Madam Secretary, please share the rules for public participation.
Thank you, Mr. President. Speakers, please listen while I provide directions for public participation. I will call your name and number when it is your turn to speak. When you hear your name, please immediately proceed to the podium, to the staging area to the left. Check in with our staff member, Eric. He will assist. He will line you up in the right order, and when it is your turn to speak, proceed to the podium and state your name. After you state your name, I will then start the 2-minute clock, which is visible to all in the audience. I would also like to note there is a timer on top of the podium for the speakers to see. When there are 30 seconds remaining, the color will turn yellow, and when the 2 minutes are up, the light will turn to red. Please immediately take your seat when your time is up to allow for the next speaker to begin. Also, for anyone who plans to stand in support of a speaker, please be aware that the only walkway in the boardroom is behind the podium. Therefore, if you would kindly make a single file line and stand as close as the railing as possible, this will still allow people to pass through the area safely. Thank you. Thank you,
Ready
Mr.
to
President.
proceed?
Yes, we're ready to proceed. And just to note, Mr. President, we do have some elected officials with us this morning. So before I begin with the speakers list, I will call them up. Joining us today, we have Alderman Carrie Austin from the 34th Ward, please.
Good morning.
Good morning, Alderman.
President Clark, and to all the board members, CEO Jackson. I'm being joined by the Far South CAC President, Ms. Joyce Chapman. I will allow Ms. Chapman to speak first before I make my comments.
Mr. President, thank you. Let me proceed. Alderman, the speakers are on the speakers list, so normally the aldermen speak, and then we go to the speakers list.
Not a problem. I follow rules very good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And again, good morning. On behalf of the Far South CAC, as one of the elected officials in the CAC's area, myself, the 8th Ward, the 9th Ward, and Ms. Chapman will really go through all the rest. But my biggest concern is naturally the 34th Ward and the schools that I have. It has always been mixed emotions when it came to our CEOs when we were presented with them, because we felt that you never gave us a chance to have any input. Now that we have Ms. Jackson, who started at the bottom, and now have worked her way to the top. I'll say that again. She has worked her way to the top.
Yes.
Where she is supportive of our children, but for the entire CPS district. I think that this board should recognize the fact that she started out a student. Now she's the CEO. Her children started out in Chicago Public Schools. With the many degrees that she has, and I could go on for many of them, I didn't know she had as many as she do. But they are important. They are important to those that she represents. They are important to our students to be able to have a role model of which is a learning institution. And in this institution, they have Ms. Jackson. I'm going to allow, I'm going to shorten my comments because I really got to go. But for you, the board, if you will, make sure that you are looking at the depth of the CEO that we do have, not just the surface. Because on many of the other CEOs that we had, you only looked at the surface. This is the depth of one that we truly have, that we can be proud of. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman.
Thank you. And the next elected official, we have Michael Brunson, Recording Secretary from the CTU.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
This morning, I don't know if you noticed, but there was a presser outside, right out front here, and it was attended by a number of parents, local school council members, community members. They were a little bit upset. They were like speaking up, speaking out, complaining. What were they talking about? Well, let me give you an idea of some of the things that a lot of people are upset with Chicago Public Schools about. Also, Chicago Teachers Union is upset about these things. There are 41 students in a kindergarten classroom at Grissom Elementary School in South Chicago. 41 students in a kindergarten classroom. Now, I'm a primary grade teacher myself. That would have me tearing my hair out. Classrooms that are literally falling apart around students at Washington Elementary School in Hedgewick. There is a desperate and chronic lack of student services, including special education services at Smith Elementary. An IB school on the near west side that does not have an IB coordinator or adequate books, computers, trauma services, or access to a school playground. And they're also complaining about what they perceive as a chronic lack of accountability from CPS, despite months of complaints from parents and local school council members about these very things. And that's in a number of neighborhoods that are going on here. Now, yesterday we had our municipal elections, And I guess we're going to be in suspense for a while longer as to who our new mayor is and who we will be negotiating with when we negotiate our contract. I'm talking about CTU now. But I would like to say that regardless of who becomes mayor, we know this, it's going to be a new day. It's going to be a new day. And it's time for some change, some progressive change here at Chicago Public Schools. Because you don't have to wait for a new mayor to address overcrowded classrooms. You can do that now. You don't have to wait for a new mayor to go and deal with these facilities that are in disrepair. You can do that right now. These under-resourced schools, you can address that right now. And this lack of oversight, you can address that right now. And I'm hoping that you do that. I'm hoping that you can work together with us because, you know, we have the educators in the schools that can tell you everything that's going on. Now, I was impressed by this presentation on safety in our schools. And, you know, that's been a pet peeve of mine. I've been concerned for a number of years about the safety in our schools because what happens in our schools is our students can start out with conflicts between each other, fighting with each other. Then they start attacking the educators, the adults in the building. And then their parents come in the building to come in and start settling scores, and you have chaos. We have to nip these things in the bud. Now, I appreciate the fact that you think we need more security. But security comes in after the fact. What we need are more restorative justice coordinators and social workers in these schools. We need to stop these problems before they start. So before you start thinking about pouring all of this money into a stronger police presence, I'm saying this, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. We have been talking about putting more adults in these buildings for quite a while now. We need restorative justice coordinators in each school. We need social workers in each school. We need nurses in each school. We need more adults, period. We need more paraprofessionals in these schools. And I expect you guys to work with us to do these things. Like I say, it's a new day. But we don't have to wait for a new mayor before we can work together and address these problems. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Mr. Benson. Thank you, Mr. President. And our next speaker will be Chris Bayron from the CTU ACTS area.
Good morning. I represent the unionized charter teachers in Chicago. Teachers, paras, educators, these are nice people, right? I think everyone in this room agrees. So I'm here to ask, why did 750 of them have to shut their schools down at 20 different charter schools around the city from December through February in 2 strikes? A total of 13 days. We spent 5 hours in sub-zero conditions, single-digit weather, in order to do this board's job. There have been 2 massive increases in funding over the past 2 years, and we haven't seen any of that in our classrooms. So why did we go on strike and what did we win? We had to go on strike to get special education resources, to get enforceable smaller class size limits, to guarantee the jobs of counselors and social workers in our schools, for fair wages, for sanctuary school language, for culturally relevant curricula, for restorative justice. These are things that this board, as it oversees charters, should make sure that the budgets are being spent on educational services. Now we've had to reach out to the state government to do what I think should be this board's job. There are legislators who proposed limits on charter CEO pay, a mandatory minimum of spending that charters receive to be spent on frontline educational services, local school councils for charter schools. Let's give parents a voice. And banning this structure of charter management organizations where you give a nonprofit a charter and then they create a wholly owned for-profit subsidiary that does all the running of the school and they deny all responsibility, which is the case with Chicago, with CICS. You know, educators shouldn't have to strike for these things to happen. And so I'm calling for more accountability from this board so that charter operators, because they're all doing the same thing with these funds. We've got 8 other contracts, 13 other schools. I hope that they don't have to go on strike in order to get some justice for their students. So I'd ask this board to do their job and bring some accountability to the charter industry. And just by the way, we did have, I don't know if this registered with you, but we had a student at Youth Connections Leadership Academy, 2 students shot at dismissal, 1 killed this school year. I don't know if that counts in, your 10 years of no shootings in schools, but anyway, the students in those schools, they deserve counselors and social workers. They deserve teachers that are there for them, that don't turn over every year. So students deserve better. Please bring some accountability to the charter.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. Mr. President, I'll now continue with the speakers list, and I'll call speaker number 60 first, please, Ty Basurto, followed by speaker number 1, Giselle Mata. Then we'll have speaker number 2, Alexis Mata.
Ty Basurto. Sorry, they don't let you have water in here. Good morning, Mr. Clark, Mr. Guzman, distinguished members of the board, Dr. Jackson, Chief McDade. My name is Ty Basurto, and I am the proud principal of John C. Dorr Elementary School in the Clearing neighborhood on the southwest side of the city. On behalf of the students, staff, families, and community members of the Dorr Elementary School, thank you for funding and supporting a new building for our school. Dorr had been overcrowded for years. Our diverse learner teachers were tripled up in classrooms. Our gym and music room doubled as lunchrooms for several hours a day, limiting our scheduling options. Our art teacher traveled from classroom to classroom. Our classrooms were overcrowded because we did not have physical space to open new rooms. The former Dorr administration and Dorr parents came to the board asking for solutions. In April of 2016, the Board of Education and the Public Building Commission announced that we would be getting a new building. The project broke ground in October of 2017, and our new building, about a mile southwest of our old location, opened when students returned this winter break. Our new building has 41 classrooms. This includes 3 science labs, 3 computer labs, an art room, a music room, a library, a gym, and a cafeteria. While a school is so much more than its physical space, and Dorr students have consistently achieved academically, now that we have more room, there is so much more that we can accomplish. We had 1 low incidence cluster classroom that served students up to 4th grade, but students aged out of our program and had to be bused to other schools. After moving to our new building...
Excuse me, can you please conclude?
Yes, after moving to our new building, we were able to open a 2nd cluster classroom. Next school year, we'll have a 3rd room, so that will serve a continuum of students from K through 8. I just want to thank you so much on behalf of Dorr Elementary School and the Clearing community. We will be reopening the old location as an early childhood center, so thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Basurto. Our next speaker, please, Giselle Mata. As she approaches the podium, I will then call speaker number 3, please, Joy Clendenning, followed by speaker 23, Catherine Diedrich, and speaker 52, Danica Usulak. Please proceed. State your name.
Good morning. My name is Giselle Mata, and I am a student attending John Hancock College Prep and also Student Council Vice President. In a couple of years, Hancock will be moving to a different location, which is currently being designed. There will be new changes to the school, which the heating and cooling will finally work. Classrooms will be in better conditions, and the design is better overall. However, there is an important thing that we need to take into consideration, the student vision. Basically, what students would like to see in our new school. Today, I am speaking on behalf of the student body here at Hancock here in Chicago. Please take our opinions into consideration because we believe that this school should be big enough for every student to feel comfortable. It should be known as a safe place for students to provide and provide enough resources for the school. If this happens, students will be more involved with the school and also participate in sports and extracurricular activities. Our school will be united. Currently, we do not have a home athletic field. Students at Hancock won't be able to participate in certain sports such as swimming teams and football teams because our school doesn't provide the actual pools and the actual football teams. Football field, I'm sorry. Hancock needs to upgrade to have more resources so students can participate in sports and extracurricular activities. We aspire to obtain a football field along with a track field. Since our home athletic field will be at a park, just a couple blocks away from our new school, I admit we weren't necessarily too happy about it, but we are willing to accommodate if this park is our new home and is in good conditions. We also believe that having a school, having a pool and a swimming team would be a phenomenal addition to our school. And
Ms. Mata, can you please conclude?
Yes. As I conclude about the new building, I strongly believe that students should have a say in the new building because please keep in mind that we will be going to our school from Mondays through Fridays, and we would be extremely grateful if we see our school as how we hoped. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
You're
Mata.
welcome.
And the next speaker, Mr.
Hold on a
President?
second, please. Clarence, you're sitting here for Arnie?
There's an additional speaker from Hancock.
Oh, well, why don't we wait? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Alex Mata, please.
Yeah. Good morning. My name is Alexis Mata, and I'm a freshman representative of John Hancock College Prep. I've attended Hancock and been educated in the crippling breaking building for the past couple of months, with compassionate teachers that endure with the struggling building to continue to foster my talents and that of my peers. The building toils in its current capacity of students and staff, and toils especially with the program students frequent as space is often competed for. The inception of a new building has become very fitting and very anticipated for that very reason when it comes around 2021. But for that very strong yearn of a new functional building, I want there to be an equal and opposite dedication from you all when tending to it. With Hancock being one of the only selective enrollment schools on the southwest side, we have a community dependent on the school's priority and agenda to provide the best opportunities to an individual. I've been informed of the project's direction and vision when attending the meetings held in consideration for it and reading the documents proposing the new school's infrastructure. And I want you to regard highly the expectations and necessities required to be present for the youth of the 21st century. We are exceeding capacity, and yet we've only attained more limitations for our growing expectations. There needs to be an accommodated building for the students at John Hancock. Not only is it important to me, but the community. I want to see my community grow, and my education and the ones that follow will be at the heart of it in the new John Hancock. As it stands, the plans regarding Hancock need to create an environment adequate for the 1,000 and some that will attend. Our facility needs to be compatible to those other facilities on the north side. This building is not only going to be fostering me, but the thousands more, and as it will, I want it to be better for them than how arduous and difficult it is for us now. Thank you for your time.
I have a great deal of respect for students that participate in the well-being of their schools. So both of you have done, I think, an extraordinary job making your points. Now I'll turn Clarence, and can we address any of the issues? I mean, the real issues they're raising is sports facilities, including the new pool, and what was the other one? Football field. Okay, before Clarence answers, I don't want to give you the impression that we can solve all your problems, because I don't know that we can, but we can pay attention to them and maybe address them or have a plan to address them so you don't feel that you got ignored. Go ahead, Clarence.
Yes, so we'll look more into that concern as well. It's actually a project being developed with the PBC, so I'll talk back to them as well.
Okay. Chief McDade, do you have anything to add to this?
No, this is something that I know Arnie and his team has been working on, so and has been engaged with the school and with the administration, and so we'll continue with that. I do want to ask the students if you have a student voice committee at Hancock.
Yes, we have a student council.
That's a good opportunity for us. I know at another high school, President Clark, we went out to capture the thoughts of of the students. So Arnie and I came to visit there, and we would be happy to come to Hancock to visit your Student Voice Committee as well.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here.
We meet on Wednesdays.
Wednesdays at what time?
After school at 3:30 to 4:30.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next speaker, please, Joy Clendenning.
Good morning. Joy Clendenning from Raise Your Hand. CPS parents with desperate concerns about alarmingly inconsistent and unreliable nursing care organized with Raise Your Hand and in good faith met 4 times with Dr. Keenan and other staff and administration since September 2018. We heard from parents struggling to get quality care for their children in 3 different areas and tried to convey this and present solutions to CPS for an improved design system, but did not get an adequate response. Area 1, routine daily medical care. This is like for kids with type 1 diabetes. These kids often see a rotating crop of untrained temporary agency nurses making dangerous mistakes, and there's no meaningful oversight or accountability. Area 2, emergency life-saving medications, like for students with epilepsy and other seizure disorders. We see that these kids often aren't even getting nurses assigned for their care, and many have call 911 in their care plan. Laurel Henson, who spoke at the October board meeting and told you about her son who needs life-saving medication in case of a seizure, still does not have anyone trained in the school to administer his medicine. Area 3, complex medical care for students who need very skilled care, like those with feeding tubes and ventilators. Parents like Yer Bosked at Wildwood Elementary went 1.5 years with no nurse assigned to her son. She missed work and sat at the school every day for 1.5 years. The most critical want of parents is to be able to rely on consistency of care and competency of care, neither of which are currently available for a lot of students. In October, CPS told us they would be developing a comprehensive plan to deal with the current dysfunction. Instead of taking on meaningful reform, you just went from 1 temp agency to multiple temp agencies, a jaw-dropping blow after we told you how dangerously broken the current system of the use of temporary agency nurses is. We've put our concerns and suggestions in a report, which you should all have, and ask that you urgently take on developing your promised comprehensive plan. A great start would be to create a new health care aide position for every school. Other districts in Illinois and other states have these positions to address the national nursing shortage. We don't see it as a downgrade in care, but as a creative means to build consistency of care and actually meet student need by increasing the number of trained staff providing care. So you should all have this report in your packet.
Thank you, Ms. Clendenning. And the next speaker on the topic, Speaker 23, please, Catherine Diedrich.
Hi. Sorry, my name is Catherine Diedrich, and I have 2 kids in CPS. Both my girls have type 1 diabetes and require nursing care, and I'm here to talk about how deeply broken the CPS nursing system has become. The vast majority of nurses at CPS are provided by a staffing service, and that means that you might have a nurse at your school, or you might not. The nurse might be someone who's been there before, but they might not. The turnover rate is tremendous. During 4 months, we had 23 different nurses. And that's just in one school. That's not unusual. Other schools are worse. The nurse who's assigned to your school may or may not be trained to provide the care your child needs. As a parent, you can try to train the nurse and hope they're up to the task. You can stay at school and provide the care yourself, or you can take your child home and hope the agency sends someone better tomorrow. Personally, I've done all 3. When my younger daughter was in 2nd grade, a nurse didn't bother looking at the care plan or documentation. She overrode the insulin pump safety settings and gave my 7-year-old a massive overdose of insulin, and the nurse didn't even realize she'd done anything wrong. I got there in time. My daughter didn't have a seizure, but we still couldn't get a permanent nurse. The temp service is not accountable to CPS. The nursing system is so broken that the only way I was able to ensure this didn't happen again was by filing a complaint with the Department of Education Office of Civil Rights. I couldn't get a full-time CPS nurse assigned to my child without getting the federal government involved. Parents have met with CPS, and we've shared our stories and our ideas. We've looked at what other districts, even here in Illinois, are doing to meet student needs. There are districts of CNAs assigned to schools to handle daily medical needs like insulin. There's health clinics staffed by nursing and PA students, staff members trained to provide daily care. Parents want to work with CPS. We have the same goal, to educate our children and keep them safe while they learn. But we feel that CPS must look beyond the current nursing system to fix this problem. These issues are not going to disappear, and every day we wait to address the nursing shortfall at CPS, more kids like mine are put in danger. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Diedrich. And before Ms. Danica Yulzelek begins, our next speaker will be Speaker number 7, Andrea Tolzman, followed by Speaker 32, Terry Smith. We have Speaker 4, Latoya Dukes, and 34, Ebony Dillard. Thank you. Please proceed.
My type 1 diabetic child, Annie, has had 12 or more different nurses at school this year alone.
some with absolutely no training, some who routinely go on break at the exact time Annie needs coverage, and one who spent the whole day at the school and forgot to check Annie's blood, which left Annie with a critically high blood glucose. The next day, the RCM supervisor and principal pulled Annie out of class to ask her not to forget about her diabetes. No one has been able to tell me how the nurse has been held accountable for not doing her job. As a taxpayer, I'm appalled at the broken system. As a nurse, I am disappointed by the lack of value CPS has for continuity of care and competency of care. In meetings with CPS and Raise Your Hand, I have concluded that there is a lack of accountability and a lack of vision for something better. When pressed, CPS top officials could not tell us if they had any tracking system or historical data to show which schools have had voids in service. How can CPS contract with a company for millions of dollars and not know if the company is meeting their contractual obligations? They told us they handle calls on a day-to-day basis and redeploy nurses where necessary. Tripling down on the use of agencies is not working, and it's not going to work. The board has the report. I hope you'll study it. I'm sorry I'm so emotional, but I get calls from my daughter every day saying she doesn't feel safe at school, and she doesn't feel safe with the nurse. She doesn't think the agency nurses are competent, and it's very difficult for me. I think you need to keep track of absentee rates, track service hours in a way that's transparent. You need policies and procedures for each medical condition, and we need to know that the temps are able to prove their competency for their assigned job. They need to show you, the board or their supervisors, the same documents that they show if they were a CPS staff nurse, their state license, their CPR card, their health requirements. Are they truly competent? Because it's been my experience so far that some are not. And we need to do better, and there is a way to do better. So please study the report and work with us. We all have the same goal, which is the health and wellness of Chicago's children. CTU, the board, I think we're all on the same side. We just need to work together.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Our next speaker, please. Speaker number 7, Andrea Tolson.
Before the next speaker starts, though, you can take your seats. Oh, then I'll wait. Oh, different topic. Yeah. Thank you very much. Chief McDade, you have brought this issue to the board's attention on several occasions. The national issue with shortage of nurses is just a fact. It doesn't change your obligation. I know that based on your discussions with the board, the focus on this issue is very intense, and one of the speakers did say something that no one would disagree with. We're all trying to make sure that kids that have these special needs are getting serviced by quality people. Can you address this?
Yes, and I do have Dr. Keenan here to speak to some of that, who's our Chief Officer of Diverse Learner Supports and Services.
Yes, and I want to thank, all of you that we have been meeting with, and it has been valuable for us. And I know that some of the things that you've talked about in terms of the working with the RCM in particular as a single source, and then now venturing out to having other additional vendors. We have been pretty open and honest about how we have the large amount of nurses on a daily basis that we have to ensure that we have staff. We do know that we are trying to continue to scale up internally, quality checking, making sure we have managers, communications with parents, and those things. So what you have been telling us hasn't fallen on deaf ears. It is a monumental task in order to make sure that we're switching over when you have over 160 nurses daily that are going out into the schools. So we want to make sure that we're ensuring that we have students being supported. We are continuing to look at different models. We are continuing to scale up, and we're continuing to try making sure we're tracking and supporting that we have quality staff. And your continuous care model that you've discussed is one of the things that we are continuing to strive for as we continue to scale up internally and having external vendors.
And thank you for this report. I will be reviewing the report myself personally and going through this, and we do want to work with you, and the recommendations that are in here we will be taking seriously.
Bottom line, no student, certainly from the board's perspective, and I know it's shared by management, no student should have a unqualified nurse treating them. That's an obvious answer. It doesn't address each one of the things that you raised. It's an obvious answer. And I believe that the administration is very well aware of the logistical issues. We haven't solved the problem, but you wouldn't be here. But we're aware of this, and we are doing, I believe that the steps that we are looking at taking, some of which have been discussed, are moving us ahead. There should not be one single unqualified nurse dealing with any of our students. That's the goal. It's like in having a zero tolerance for accidents. That's the goal. It takes a while to get there. In the interim, none of us as parents, you shouldn't, but I wouldn't be willing to accept someone treating my child or my grandchildren in this case that are not qualified. There's no disagreement with what you're saying. There are logistical challenges that have to be successfully met. We obviously are not there yet. Thank you.
President Clark, if I could ask one or make one comment. In this report, which seems quite detailed, I would make a distinction between policy changes and the tracking of information. They raise this issue. If it is indeed the case that we do not have knowledge of absenteeism, of mistakes, of non-qualification, if we're not checking the certification, that it's hard to fix problems you're not measuring. So that doesn't cost that much money. That seems like an important first step to
Thank you.
If I may, that's absolutely one of the things that we've been continuing to work on with the vendors to ensure that we have these pieces of it. And I do want to say one more thing in terms of hearing the perspectives directly from parents and that are knowledgeable of these pieces have been very instrumental in us guiding this process and making sure that we're, expecting these pieces out of what we're quality of our nurses that we're hiring internally and externally, and working with outside universities too. So it has been very extremely helpful in terms of where we want to continue.
Vice President Guzman.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, Dr. Keenan, to just at a future board meeting, get an update on where we are in terms of improvements on coverage, adding additional vendors. Have we been able to increase our coverage, increasing our staffing levels? Where are we on increasing that? Like, we recognize that there are all these sort of competing issues that when trying to address this issue, it results in a quality issue, it results in another. Like, tracking those in a way and reporting back to the board in a public way would be really important for us to just track where we are on improving these things.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Tolzman?
Good morning. I'm Andrea Tolzman with Raise Your Hand, and we have a few questions and comments today. First, we know there were district representatives facilitating and taking notes at the small table discussions at the regional ARE workshops last fall. Some attendees received those notes. We would like to see all of the notes from those meetings and have them easily accessible on the CPS website. It is the input from these stakeholders that identifies what schools actually need to better support students. Could I please get all the notes from all of those ARA regional workshops? I'm happy to share my email address with someone here today or with someone from FACE today following this statement. Second, the new facilities law from August 2018 requires you to support under-enrolled schools. You rolled out an RFP process for programmatic investments last fall, and at the time we questioned that approach. Now we learn that many under-enrolled schools did not even apply, and we're not surprised. They're so under-resourced. How are they supposed to find the time to apply for that? And of those that did apply, most did not move on in that process. The school district is responsible for all children in our schools, and why are you making the children depend on school-by-school applications for the resources they desperately need? A truly equitable approach, and one that follows the law, would provide resources to those who need them most, not require individual schools to apply for them. Third, we hear that for 18 months you've been working on an update to the SQURP. When were you planning to involve, or at least inform parents and especially LSC members who are elected to serve their schools about this update? Finally, the district's FACE department has disseminated a parent survey asking us about transparency in CPS and how it can be improved. So as a very basic beginning starting place, how about involving students, teachers, and parents, those most impacted by these policies from the beginning of these processes? Today, we are one step closer to electing a new mayor who supports an elected school board, but your work here is not done. Improve district transparency by involving the people in the school communities and talk to us about our plans. Talk to us about your plans.
Ms. Tolzman?
We can help you find solutions that are what the students and our schools need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
Very
Tolzman.
much.
Our next speaker, please, Speaker 32, Terry Smith.
Good morning. Month after month in these very, thank you. Month after month in these very chambers, special education parents and advocates testify before you, describing the unjust practices being endured by our families and our disabled students in CPS schools. The board has consistently responded to our desperation with indifference, denial, hostility, empty promises, and personal insult. You've gone so far as to discredit us by smugly challenging us to prove what we tell you is happening to our children. Last winter, in response to a complaint by a consortium of special education advocates, of which I am a member, that CPS had created a special education policy environment in which students' legal rights were routinely violated, the Illinois State Board of Education conducted a public inquiry into special education policies at Chicago Public Schools. At the May 2018 meeting of the ISB inquiry team reported that several of the policies that informed CPS's special ed operating procedures and governing practices were out of compliance with regulations in the Individuals with Disabilities in Education Act. CPS had violated the federally mandated civil rights of disabled students and their families from 2016 to 2018. The inquiry report states that the inquiry team found several instances where CPS practices may have delayed or denied services to individual students, and required that ISB and CPS devise a plan to identify students whose services were delayed or denied. To date, 9 months after the inquiry, remedies were ratified by the ISB. CPS has made no movement towards the establishment of a plan to identify students whose rights were violated, nor has the district provided special education staff with guidelines for determining eligibility for compensatory education or for establishing parameters for restitution. I come before you today on behalf of the thousands of disabled students who were harmed as a result of the legally and morally bankrupt special education policies enacted by CPS from 2016 through 2018. Children
Ms.
who are
Smith?
still, yes, I'm just about, indulge me for another 10 seconds. Children who are still suffering the effects of having been denied for 2 years the academic support to which they were legally entitled. Students whose progress was stunted. CPS and the ISB Monitor are taking steps to repair special ed programming so that the violations uncovered by the inquiry will not repeat themselves. However, the students who were harmed should be the first ones who are remedied. Please use your power to ensure that a compensatory education policy and plan will be implemented before these students suffer any more harm. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. As the next speakers approach the podium, I'll call speaker number 5, Gordana Boyos, 19, Daisy Magaña, 20, Rebecca Hughes, 24, Marcelina Pedraza, 29, Candace Spencer, 38, Olga Bautista, and 55, Irene Caro. Ms. Dukes?
Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Dukes. I'm here today because every child deserves an excellent education, and charter public schools are providing the education for Chicago children. My son Quan attends Learn Excel, one of the top 5 charter schools listed in Chicago Magazine, located on the city's west side. Quan is currently in 5th grade, and he has been at Learn since pre-K. Over the years, he has made tremendous growth in reading and math and is now consistently on the honor roll. That's why I am a proud parent at Learn Charter School. They have a rigorous curriculum that challenges Quan and have a great elective program. The Learn Excel principal, Mr. Robertson, is amazing. He has been there for over 15 years, making an impact for families like mine. The staff is also amazing. They are friendly, family-oriented, and I know my child is in good hands, and I trust the staff because they are like family to me. I also had 2 daughters who attended a Learn Charter School and graduated. They have proved the power of the education at Learn. Right now, one is enrolled at Crane Medical Prep and is on the honor roll. My other daughter attends Christ the King and is excelling in her reading and history classes. I am so proud of them because they both know what they want to be in the future, which is obviously a byproduct of attending Learn Charter School. Thank you all for allowing Learn Charter School to educate my children for the past 11 years. It's not only been a great experience for my children, but for the community as well.
Thank you, Ms. Dukes. And the next speaker, please, Ebony Dillard.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Ebony Dillard, and I am also a proud parent of Learn Charter School Network. I have 3 scholars that attend Learn. Actually, my daughter graduated. She is a straight A student now at George Westinghouse College Prep, where she actually reads music, speaks French. She's in her 2nd year, and I am very proud of her. Learn was just a perfect fit for my children, education, when I was looking for that school to put my children in. My daughter, she's the oldest, and I wanted her to be the best. One time I was watching the Oprah Winfrey Show, and she had a particular group of schools all around the country. Learn was one of those schools that she said was getting it right. Once I heard that, I just knew, hands down, my heart was leading me in the right place. It's a wonderful opportunity. My boys are doing great, and I'd like to just thank you all for your time today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dillard. And the next group, Mr. President, is from George Washington Elementary School, and their first speaker will be Speaker 24, Marcelina Pedraza.
Good morning. My name is Marcelina Pedraza. I'm a proud product of CPS, Robert A. Black, and Kenwood Academy. I have a daughter in 2nd grade at George Washington Elementary. I'm also a member of the LSC. Now I'm tired. I worked 12 hours last night, and I should be asleep, but I'm here to tell you we need a new school. I've been a union electrician for 20 years, and I've worked in over 100 schools, so I've seen the conditions that students across the city have to deal with, and I am appalled. Washington was built in 1973, meant to be a temporary solution to combat overcrowding from the school next door. We're still in the same building that has significant structural issues and a myriad of other problems. I repeat, this was meant to be temporary, kind of like an annex to the high school. The way that this school is built is almost like a boring Lego set that was glued together in a hurry. The gaps between the walls and the flooring show this. Patching up these holes and covering the flaws aren't going to fix these problems. The school is overutilized. We have more classes per grade than when the school was first opened, to the point where other rooms are being repurposed as classrooms. Art class is held in the old shower and locker room. There's no auditorium, so the cafeteria is also used for recitals and meetings, but capacity is limited. The building has poor design and aesthetics. It looks like a prison. There are rooms without windows or small windows, some which don't even open. The HVAC is inconsistent, and some areas are not properly heated or cooled. Most of the rooms still have the original carpeting from the 70s, so the air quality is poor. Our kids have a higher rate of asthma, allergies, headaches, other pulmonary issues compared to other kids in the city. Schools are rated based on attendance and performance, unfortunately. If kids are missing school because the building is making them sick, this affects our grade and the reputation of CPS. We demand an assessment team to determine when we can get a new school built. Temporary fixes are short-term goals, but in the end, it's not enough. If industrial polluters can build in our neighborhood using TIF money, where's our piece of the pie? We need more environmentally friendly / energy efficient schools in the city, especially in a neighborhood that is notorious for air pollution, the forgotten southeast side of Chicago. Thank you for your time. We hope to hear from you soon.
Thank you, Ms. Pedraza. And the next speaker for the group, Speaker 5, please, Gordana Buis.
Gordana Buis.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Gigi Buis, and I'm a parent of a 2nd grader and soon-to-be preschooler at George Washington Elementary School. I respectfully stand before you to ask for a new school to be built for our children. Our safety issues and lack of space is a problem amongst many other issues. Our 2nd floor is an entrapment. If a fire should occur, our kids are trapped with no chance of escape. We have no fire exits, no operational windows, and the 2nd floor is a dead zone for phones. If there would be an active shooter, there would be no help for calling because of those dead zones. Oh, I lost my spot, sorry. The boys' restrooms on the 2nd floor consist of 2 urinals and 1 toilet for 300+ boys at any given time. The school itself has 2 restrooms on each floor that is used to 900+ students, staff, and volunteers at any given time. The school is not handicap accessible, and wheelchairs have been seen to tip over from the annex to the main building due to unstable ground. The lunchroom that we have is used as a cafeteria, auditorium, meeting place for events of all sorts. Our gymnasium leaks water from the roof when it rains or when snow melts. The walls are buckling in the gym. We have no storage space, which leaves our hallways the storage area and a serious tripping and fire hazard. Special ed classes are also cramped that the students with wheelchairs bump into tables because they have no room to turn or maneuver. We have lost our library to form yet another 6th grade class. We have Mandarin classes as well as special ed classes in the same library divided by partitions. There is no privacy in the students and no silence to concentrate on their studies. The special ed classes have to listen to the noise that creates chaos to those who have sensory issues. Our children, teachers, and staff need a building that is 100% functional. The school should not be a health hazard, and classrooms should be able to concentrate without distraction, because of lack of space. We were a level 1+ school, and we have dropped to a level 2+. Our kids need space to study and to learn. I believe that these are only some of the factors as to why we have fallen in level. Our students deserve more.
Ms. Hughes?
We just need more. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. And the next speaker, please, Speaker 19, Daisy Magana.
Good morning. My name is Daisy Magana, and I also have a kid at George Washington. And today, I humbly stand here to, 1, inform you and advocate for a new school at George Washington. We are grateful for the minor improvements that you guys have done. However, this is not enough. And we need to make the school more habitable for our kids. I guess as your goal, we share the same goal, which is to keep our children safe, healthy, and have an environment that fosters learning. Now, our building, which Ms. Padastra mentioned earlier, has 28 classrooms. Of these 28 classrooms, only 5, if I'm not mistaken, the carpet has been removed. 22 of these classrooms still have carpets that are over 45 years old. Can you guys imagine this? All the mold, bacteria, allergens that are festering under our kids' feet at this moment. Secondly, grade 6 is literally the library. And this library also encompasses what? The occupational therapy, the physical therapy, the social worker and the psychologist, and a Mandarin class. How ironic is it that these partitions are supposed to provide what? Privacy and confidentiality space for our students. How? A partition, which the library is literally smaller than this and encompasses all this room together. Thirdly, the dean office is also no exception. The small space for the office also has a partition that separates the dean and the nurse. Again, no privacy for either of them. How can a school and its program, including the service rendered to students, be expected to offer, promote, and provide continuous learning in an environment that speaks the opposite? How? And lastly, the art room, if it can even be called that, has its issue of its own. This classroom was the old shower room.
Ms. Magana?
Yes, I'm almost done. Which at one point, water was gurgling out of it. Drainage wastewater. And what was CPS solution? Oh, let's patch it up. And you have a folder, and while we're talking about, there's pictures on those folders showing all these things.
Thank you, Ms. Magana.
And this classroom is also half storage. I'm sorry, I'm almost done. So for an environment that should have and foster learning, how can we have our kids here? Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Magana. The next speaker, please, Speaker 20, Rebecca Hughes. Moving on to the Speaker 29 then, Candace Spencer.
Good morning. My name is Candace, and I'm a proud mom of 2 George Washington students. Today, I stand before you as the voice of our 816 children. I personally read, and you have copies, dozens of letters, grades 2nd, 5th, and 6th. The children repeatedly complain of chronic headaches, fatigue, dizziness, respiratory issues, itchy skin, and even nosebleeds. My children both suffer from chronic migraines, which leads to many absences and early dismissals. My children notice a difference, as do the other children, once they leave the main building and go into the annex. My son alone went from 30 absences a year to 3 this year. The students and teachers are forced to spend their days in overcrowded, poorly lit, and poorly ventilated rooms. The HVAC never functions properly, causing the rooms to reach dangerously hot temperatures, causing children to have headaches and nausea. There aren't any windows to open to allow fresh air or much natural light. They breathe stagnant and dirty air. Vents blow mounds of dirt and dust in the air. Students in wheelchairs have also been reported falling over in their chairs because the ground between the annex and the main building is so beat up. Children wrote their fears of ceiling tiles falling on them during classes, trying to escape a fire on the second floor if there was, and if there was an active shooter, how would partitions keep bullets out of them? The children all complain of the filth they are surrounded by. 40-year-old carpets line the rooms in the schools. Dirt, mold, and dust cover walls and floors. Bathrooms are covered in urine, sticky floors, and sanitary napkins. They sit on yellow, sticky toilets. Some urinals and sinks are constantly out of order and not enough facilities for the students to use. Students also comment that the restrooms are without hand soaps, doors falling off, and missing stall doors. Please help our children. They deserve a chance to learn in a safe and healthy environment. The building has reached its end. Please provide these children with a new building where they can learn and grow safely. Band-Aids will no longer be accepted or tolerated. Is the health and safety of our children, is this a priority to you? Please think long and hard about that. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Spencer. And their next speaker, Mr. President, Speaker 38, Olga Bautista, please.
Hello. Sorry. Hello, my name is Olga Bautista. I'm a parent of 2 CPS kids. I have dedicated my personal and professional career to defend the rights of my beloved community. I have been the LSC representative. I have done participatory budgeting at CPS high schools and wards across the city, and I've also been an organizer to combat environmental racism in the 10th Ward. Today I come before you as a parent of 2 children at George Washington Elementary School, which is my most important job of all. I joined this ad hoc group of amazing parents, grandparents, community members that are organizing for equitable budgeting for schools in the 10th Ward. So today, we demand that during the spring break vacation that you remove all of the carpets from the school that happen to be the original carpets that were installed 45 years ago, that you clean the building, that you clean the air vents, and that you build us a new school as soon as possible. The annex, I'm sorry, I'm going to skip that because we only have 2 minutes. We appreciate hearing from experts like Jay Dean this morning, and we need you to look at us, parents and teachers and students, as experts, because we are experts in our own lived experience. And we also want you to implement restorative justice practices when addressing the issues at George Washington Elementary School, because you all need to be held accountable for the harm that your budgeting decisions has caused the children of George Washington Elementary School. And you should be given the opportunity to make things right moving forward and repair the harm that your inaction has caused our children, which is why we further demand that you also install portable air purifiers in every classroom as soon as possible, because the conditions of the school are impacting the recovery time from colds and flus. We demand that you fully fund the school as if there were 100% attendance every single day. It is unconscionable that our school funding goes down every time that our child is out sick. I'm wrapping up. It is not their fault that the air quality is garbage, and you should not take away the funding simply because you all have been slow to act to build a new school that will keep our kids healthy and safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And the last speaker, please, Speaker 55, Irene Caro. Thank you. That concludes the speakers for George Washington Elementary School.
Clarence, are you, I assume that Arnie is aware of the issues that they're raising.
Yes, we are actually. So based on the concerns raised by the local community and also by Principal Ramirez, we've actually performed several additional facilities assessments based on capital needs as well as facility needs and also health and wellness needs. If I can actually have Dr. Fox, from Chief of Health and Wellness, actually speak for a moment on behalf of some of his recommendations.
Thank you. I am Dr. Ken Fox. I'm the Chief Health Officer of the Chicago Public Schools, a pediatrician for 30 years now. Children's health concerns are my concerns. That is why I went to visit the school to see for myself when I first heard about the health claims being made first in the media about a month ago. This is not the typical way that I learn about the health news of schools, but I keep my eyes open and ears open anyway. So I did an hour's walkthrough of the school with the principal, Principal Ramirez. I talked with him, with the assistant principal. I spent time with the school nurse and with several teachers in the school. I was interested in what they had to say about what they observed about students and experienced themselves, there on the front lines in the day-to-day in the school. The most striking, I would say, consistent, corroborated, direct observations that they made by far is that some students and teachers, more than what you would expect when it's not allergy season, do a lot of rubbing of red, itchy, sometimes puffy, watery eyes, sneezing and sniffing and postnasal drip, all of which I would have to characterize as allergy-like symptoms, symptoms that are worse as the school day goes on, as the week goes on. Now, in official, documented health information submitted to the school, we do not see a higher prevalence of allergies at Washington compared with the network overall or compared with the district overall. That's just a fact, okay? Though this is not the only consideration here, what's documented and substantiated in that record. In sum, all things considered, I do recommend 3 simple, practical things from a public health perspective. First, I'd say remove the threadbare, old, worn-out carpet. It's been there for decades. It could be a rich source of allergy triggers and irritants. I would say inspect the HVAC system and assess indoor air quality. This can be measured, and we ought to do that. And we ought to act on what we find. And then as a third and final matter, I would say that it would be important to make sure that the hand sanitizer is available there on the second floor. That is a problem. There aren't enough sinks there. And in the meantime, we can use hand sanitizer there to address that issue until a larger fix has been arranged. Basically, those were the things that I observed, and that's what I want to report.
These are your professional recommendations, Dr. Clarence?
So yes, so over the past year, or over this actual school year, we've invested over $300,000 in capital investment already. That's going to more so for the mechanical systems. So actually this month, going through the summer, we're continuing those capital investments as well, though, with mechanical systems. That flooring he's referring to as well, which is a larger project, because it's all the way throughout the hallway. I visited the school myself yesterday, actually. That carpet goes throughout the hallway and several of the classrooms as well, and the library. Larger project we're going to take on in the summertime, as well as several of the structural concerns you all pointed out with the walls and also our roofing and other mechanical issues. So we have that actually planned out for the summer already.
Did you want to comment?
Just the last point. I know Alderwoman Garza couldn't be here today, but she spoke on this issue. And one additional request was a feasibility study or assessment of the building, and we committed to that as well. So I think one of the speakers mentioned that as well. Because the building was constructed decades ago, she wanted some assurances that the building is sound, and we said that we would commit to that.
Correct, and we actually already performed that as well. And the building actually is sound, but don't get me wrong, I visited the gym and I saw that wall as well, which has that bone, which has the straps on it, so we're going to reassure that as well.
So just in summary, just to be clear, and what I believe Dr. Jackson is referring to, the 3 recommendations that we just heard from our Chief Medical Officer, we're going to implement?
Correct.
That's number 1. And in there is the removal of is the carpet really 45 years old? I don't disbelieve you. I'm just getting verification.
It's definitely aged, so the carpet itself needs to come up. So right now, like in the entrance of the school itself, they've already replaced some of it with tile before.
But there's a plan to deal with the carpet.
Correct. And also the indoor air quality with the air purifiers as well.
And we're working directly with the school administration. The principal knows the plan.
Correct.
And are you hearing something that you haven't heard before? Okay, well, this is a step in the right direction. You're hearing it. Now we have to implement it.
Have it in writing?
Yes.
Can you send us a letter?
Yep.
Dr. Jackson?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yeah.
All right, but putting metal straps on a wall that's bowing, that's
Yeah, I'm not an architect, and I'm not an architect, and I suspect you may not be either, but you may not be wrong. So you've heard the early stages. You've heard what we're committing to doing. I don't know whether that will be enough. It is a start, and I think a serious start. We're paying attention to this, and I just heard Dr. Jackson speak. If she's focused on this, as she is, and this will be taken care of. I don't.
Like when, like.
Let you, Dr. Jackson is committed to giving you the plan in writing. Let us do that. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. And our next speaker will then be speaker number 6, please, David Fields, followed by the group from Cooper and Orozco. Speaker number 8, Marta Alba. Speaker 14, Anabel Perez. 28, Montserrat Hernandez. 26, Efraín Martinez. 33, Marisa Santiago. And 48, Guadalupe Carrion.
Good morning. My name is David Fields, and I would like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to stand before this board to speak today. However, I'll be speaking on Bernice Fields Joyner Child Parenting Center and not special education. I guess there was a mix-up somewhere along that line. And if I have your permission, then I will proceed. Thank you. As of what allegations have been made that Bernice Joyner Fields Child Parenting Center is due to be demolished. It was said that because of the building was sinking. Now these allegations came from the school engineer. And my question to him was that, are you a structural engineer? And that could not be answered. So I stand here today for the thousands of voices about Bernice Joyner Child Parenting Center. There was a Newberry Center and also a Duncan YMCA that were torn down, and it left the area with no facility as to where the parents would be able to take their children for child care. Bernice Joyner Fields Child Parenting Center provided that for the community. So it was very disturbing to hear that it was up for demolition. And today, Bernice Joyner Fields is my auntie. So I stand here today to fight for all of those who do not stand here today, but to be the voice for them. In that center, I'm sorry, for President Clark,
Susan,
if this information.
Mr. Fields, can you please conclude?
Excuse me?
Your time is up.
Okay. May I have a couple of minutes to finish?
Sure.
You won't, not a couple of minutes, but she's
Okay,
going to give, no, let me tell you, you're going to get 30 more seconds, okay? Because you didn't start right away, so you got 30 seconds now.
Okay, so today I ask that the statement was made that no child should be left behind, yet we want to leave these children behind. We stood and we said the Pledge of Allegiance. And there was one very, very important word that was said, and that was justice. So we stand here today to ask for justice, that we get a meeting with President Clark to show you the curriculum that has been laid out for the Bernice Joyner Fields Child Parenting Center. So I thank you all for your time. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fields. Excuse me, before the next group proceeds, there are 2 additional speakers that are on the speakers list, Mr. President, if I may call them,
Sure.
with Mr. Fields. It's speaker number 9, Ardalthus McDowell, and speaker 18, Jesse Johnson.
I have a document for CEO Dr. Jackson, and I have a document for President Frank Clark. Okay. If you wouldn't mind giving that to them now, that would be great, because they will be able to see exactly what I'm saying. Thank you. Distinguished board members, President Clark, CEO Jackson, Chief McDade, Good afternoon. My name is Adorthus McDowell. I'm a community member of the Near West Side Organization Committee, and we are deeply concerned about the state of affairs at John M. Smith Elementary. Dr. Jackson, you may recall that you received a letter January 23rd, the same day of January's board meeting, in which we were outlining that the magnitude of the problem at John M. Smith School is severe, where there are between 7 and 17 unfilled teaching vacancies since the beginning of January. 2 represent 4th grade non-special ed, 1 7th grade position, 3 in special ed teaching positions. At least 1 security guard hasn't been working at all since the school year began. However, it's listed in the budget. Resource teachers have been asked to substitute and are being pulled for other duties such as technology tasks and LSC meetings. This was the November meeting, at 9 o'clock in the morning, I might add. Okay? So part of the question is, since we have a dire need of resource professionals, why are teachers being utilized or resource specialists being utilized in LSC meetings at 9 o'clock in the morning when they should be in front of when they should be in front of students? Okay, and I will conclude by asking for a meeting with you, Dr. Jackson, and also we need a meeting with you to discuss joiner Frank Clark. Thank you.
President Clark, can I address? The first one, the Joyner Fields Child Parent Center, it's my understanding that building is structurally unsound, having had a conversation with our chief operating officer, and it hasn't been used for years. So there's no students in that building. President Clark, that building is being taken down as a part of the Smith St. Ignatius project, where we are building a playground for Smith Elementary School, but that structure is unsound, and that has been determined by our facilities department, and it has not been utilized for years. In regards to Smith, I would like to have an opportunity to meet with you. I do know that we have our chief officer, Chief Milberg, has been working with the school, has been at the school to address some of the concerns that you've raised about Smith. I also know that Elisa Botello from my office has spoken with someone about Smith. So I would like the opportunity to sit down and meet with you along with the network chief officer so that we can share with you some of the things that have already been addressed at the school and what the plan is for any of those things that have not been resolved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're not going to have a debate. We've got your document. Who's the next speaker? No, you have to let the next speaker. You see that line waiting there? You have to wait for the next speaker, sir. Go ahead.
Mr. Jesse Johnson, speaker number 18, please.
The next speaker.
We have a meeting.
If you're requesting a meeting, I don't know if you're going to meet with me, maybe so, but we'll make sure you get addressed. Look, we're not going to keep talking. Other people have to have their turn. If you request it, let's not talk over each other. Right now is your turn. Right now, sir, is your turn to listen. And what I'm telling you is your turn to listen now, just like I did for the last several minutes. Your turn. And if you've got issues, those issues will be obviously looked at and addressed. You may not like the conclusion, but we certainly will look at them. Next speaker, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next speaker, please. Martha Alba, speaker number 8.
Good morning, President Clark, members of the board, CEO Jackson, Chief McDade. My name is Martha Alba. I am the proud principal of Cooper Dual Language Academy in Network 7 in the Pilsen community. I'm here today to ask for your support and approval of the proposal that you heard earlier about regarding the Cooper-Oto school boundary reassignment change. As you heard, this is a proposal that has had large support from many stakeholders, parents, students, staff, our network chief, community partners, and our elected officials. This is part of a broader plan in our community that has been worked on for years in order to be able to make sure that all of our schools offer outstanding options for all of the residents of Chicago. We seek to become schools of choice, not only for our community, but for parents outside of our community. For Cooper, this opportunity means being able to implement our dual language program through 8th grade as it is designated by the Office of Language and Culture, so that the students can be academically prepared to go on to high school and earn the very valuable seal of biliteracy. For Cooper, this is also an opportunity to have a direct transition from elementary school to high school without having to go to another school for a few short years. We are very excited and look forward to working with our neighborhood high school as well as others in order to prepare our students for college and career opportunities. We, as a school that has been a level 1 and 1+, has a 1 and 1+ rating for several years, we are committed to every student's success. I would like to thank personally CEO Jackson, Chief McDade, for your support and the support of many departments here at CPS in this process. This has been a multiple-year process for us, and we have waited patiently for this day. I also want to ask for the board's support in approving this and helping to make this dream for many of these parents a reality. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alba. And the next speaker, Anabel Perez.
Good afternoon. My name is Anabel Perez. I'm the LSC president at Cooper Dual Language Academy. I'm the parent of 4th grader. I'm here to thank you for your consideration in this request. This is, like our principal has said, this is something that we have been wanting for many years. We have many parents here and other community members who are here also in support of this. I just want to thank you. We are super excited, and we look forward to hearing great news.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Montserrat Hernandez, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Montserrat, and I'm here as a parent rep for the LSC, and I'm also here as a parent of a very excited kindergarten when I tell her that she might be able to finish 8th grade at Cooper. I want to thank you for allowing us to participate in the public hearing process and in the community meeting process. It makes me very proud to see that we have had parent participation throughout the whole thing, which I think speaks very highly as to the commitment that the parents have to the school and to the community. I also want to ask for your vote today to please vote yes on this boundary change. As Ms. Alba and Ms. Anabel both said, this is something that we've been looking forward to for a very long time, and that we hope will benefit our children not only academically but also emotionally. As, like I said, they're in a space where they feel safe, where they feel supported, and it would make us all very happy if our children can continue within that space throughout their 8th grade education. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And the next group from Orozco, Speaker 26, please, Efrain Martinez, 33, Marisa Santiago, and 48, Guadalupe Carrion. Mr. Martinez.
Hello, members of the board, President Clark, chiefs, colegas. My name is Efrain Martinez. I am the proud principal of Orozco Academy. Here with me is my service animal, Chulu, and my beautiful, awesome Mamis Líderes. I am here today because we have one message for you, which is thank you for considering the proposal to further develop the EL Gifted program at Orozco Academy. Thank you, because now students from the entire city will have another opportunity to gain admission into a gifted program. There is a reason why we have grassroots organizations such as Pilsen Neighbors working consistently for every single person in the community. Without their support, and without the support of the elected officials, our incredible Chief Minerva Garcia Sanchez, and the most important support, which is the support of our parents from every single committee in our school, this would have never been possible. During the Principal Forum at Orozco Academy back in 2015, I was asked what were my plans to improve the EL Gifted program at Orozco. And I responded in the most eloquent way that everything is possible. We just have to imagine it. We have to work together. And we are showing here today that uniting forces with always putting students at the center of everything is how we do things. The entire school community learned that real change does not depend on one person, on one leader. It depends in our collective leadership. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Martinez. Marisa Santiago, please.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Marisa Santiago, and I'm a parent and a local school council member at Orozco. The parents at Orozco Community Academy are here once again to ask you to please consider our request for the proposed reassignment boundary change. We believe Orozco will be able to expand its gifted program and be beneficial to our students because it will allow both ESL learners and heritage speakers to develop the necessary skills needed to be fully bilingual. In addition, families in Pilsen and in the surrounding communities will continue to have Orozco as a choice when looking for a quality education for their children from great teachers. Thank you in advance for your time, and we hope you listen to our needs and support our request. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Santiago. And the last speaker, Guadalupe Carrión.
Hola, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es Guadalupe Carrión. Soy madre de familia y vicepresidenta del comité de BAC de la Escuela Orozco.
Good afternoon. My name is Guadalupe Carrión. I'm the mother of CPS students and the vice president of the PAC committee at Orozco.
Hoy estoy aquí para darle seguimiento a nuestra solicitud para la Escuela Orozco para que expanda el programa de estudiantes dotados.
I'm here to follow up with our request to expand Orozco's gifted program.
La Escuela Orozco es una escuela que ofrece educación de calidad para las familias del suroeste de Chicago. Mi familia y yo vivimos en La Villita. Sin embargo, mis hijos han estado en Orozco por el programa Gifted. Creo que es necesario expandir el programa Gifted porque de esta manera le brindamos más oportunidad a familias como la mía, que buscan una educación de calidad más allá de las opciones disponibles de nuestros vecindarios.
Orozco is a school that provides high-quality education for families from the southwest side of Chicago. My family and I lived in Little Village, but my children went to Orozco for the gifted program. I think it's necessary to expand the gifted program because this way we will offer more opportunities to families like ours who seek for a quality education beyond the options offered in our neighborhood.
Si mis hijos no hubieran tenido esta oportunidad, ellos no estuvieran ahorita en la Universidad de Urbana-Champaign o Michigan Ann Arbor. La Escuela Orozco tiene programas después de escuela, maestros profesionales apoyando a los estudiantes académicamente y en lo emocional. Todo esto es gracias a la administración, maestros y padres.
If my children did not have this learning opportunity, then they wouldn't have been accepted to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign or the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. Orozco offers after-school programs. The teachers provide the students with academic and emotional support. All this was achieved thanks to the school administration, teachers, and parents.
La Escuela Orozco tiene muchos planes para seguir creciendo y expandir el programa Gifted era una de nuestras metas.
Orozco has more plans to further grow, and expanding the Gifted program was one of our goals.
Gracias porque sé que ustedes están aquí para la educación de nuestros hijos, para que la educación de nuestros hijos crezca y puedan alcanzar su máximo potencial. Muchas gracias por escucharnos.
Thank you, because I know that you're here to improve the education of our children and help them reach their full potential. Thanks so much for listening.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Mr. President, our next group will be speaker number 10, please, Joyce Chapman, followed by speaker 21, Darlene O'Banner-Settle. We then have speaker 41, Yvonne Wilson, 58, Dr. Carol Palmer, and 51, Ebony Scott.
Good afternoon.
I represent the Far South CAC. My name is Joyce Chapman. I'm the chair. We lost about 20 people who was waiting outside because I was told that we were number 10. I got so excited. We told the people on the bus we'll leave here maybe give or take about 11:30. Since 1995, I never thought I would be number 10, but we're here now, and we want to say some exciting things about our CEO, Dr. Janice Jackson. On October 16, 2018, we, the Far South CAC, took the vote to say we support CEO, let me take it back, Dr. Janice Jackson, our Chief Education Officer at that time. No, you was an executive officer. See, we've been here all morning.
You don't want to take too much of your time figuring it out. She knows who she is.
Okay. So at that time, President Clark, we took the vote to say we stand with and beside Dr. Jackson to maintain her CEO-ship, if you please, even after February 26, 2019. So we took the vote. We have a proclamation for you today. Okay. And on March 18th, 2019, we, the CACs, there are 9 CACs under the auspices of Chicago Public Schools, we're going to hold an educational forum on the 2, Lori Lightfoot and Tony Preckwinkle. If they say they're all about education, they got to put a stance to it. So we'll be hosting it, the 9 CACs of Chicago Public Schools. And our acting recording secretary will read our proclamation, but we have Mrs. O'Bannon, the chair of Inglewood CAC.
All right, good afternoon. I'm going to just put it down, bottom line, we're going to keep our CEO. I heard a lot of people get up here talking about the election, threatening you all, talking about the elected school board. I don't care nothing about none of that. We're keeping our CEO. That's the bottom line.
I'm smiling because you kind of said you didn't care about the board, but that's okay.
I said, I'm talking about.
That's no. I'm only
No, I didn't say I didn't care about the board.
Okay, I'm only teasing you. Go ahead.
No, they saying that they about elected school board.
Yeah.
I don't care nothing.
Don't take me on this one. Don't take me seriously.
We're keeping our CEO.
Go right on.
Keeping our CEO.
I support that. Now go right on. Okay.
They want to talk about teachers going on strike, parents is going to go on strike this time. We're not going to send our kids to school. We're keeping our CEO. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Thank you very much. And total agreement.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ebony Scott, and today I'm here as the acting recording secretary for the Far South CAC. Also wanted to point out that we're joined by Phalanx Family Services and Metropolitan Family Services today as well. Dr. Jackson, we prepared this proclamation in support of you, regardless of what changes happen at City Hall. We want to make sure that it is well known that you have our full support out in the community. A woman designed to be a change agent, and who knows whether thou art come to the kingdom for such time as this. Esther 4:14. Dr. Janice K. Jackson, we commend you for the high level of commitment that you have brought to your role as being CEO for the Chicago Public Schools. When you were given this assignment, it was no easy task. However, you have demonstrated through your dedication and devotion that you are committed to empowering our youth and building up the communities where they live. You have shown such grace and style. You represent women well, exhibiting such attributes as honesty, loyalty, hardworking, elegance, and integrity, to name a few. Whereas, Dr. Janice K. Jackson, you have been strategically positioned for purpose. As we embark upon this journey for being the season of the woman, your lifestyle reflects the compassion yet assertiveness needed to get things done in this city of Chicago. You are a woman of action, and the words you speak have power. You don't question your abilities when faced with challenges. You allow who God created you to be to shine through. You were not placed here for decoration, but you have been given a voice and you are being heard. Our history demonstrates the depths of strength that women have possessed in this country. I quote from Fannie Lou Hamer, "When I liberated myself, I liberated others. If you don't speak out, ain't nobody going to speak for you." Dr. Janice K. Jackson, continue to use your voice to impact our children, families, churches, and communities. Whereas, Dr. Jackson, being a product of the Chicago public school system, you understand the challenges that our students face with the limitations due to economic barriers. We thank you for utilizing your own experiences, maneuvering the system to now find better avenues that encourage our children's futures.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Scott.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yvonne Wilson, please. They're
not
here?
present.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is
Thank
that
you, Ms.
everyone that
Chapman.
wants to speak on this subject?
You know.
No, that's listed as a speaker.
Susan. Thank you, Ms. Chapman.
I'm very supportive of what you want to do, and Dr. Jackson does deserve the recognition and support that you're offering. You know who the two people are. Let them know what you think.
On March 18th, we will. Oh.
You don't have to wait.
That's all right. I heard you loud and clear, President Clark. But on March 18th, the city of Chicago will know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speakers, Mr. President, will be speaker number 11, please, Sal Briones, followed by speaker 15, Carmen Rodriguez. We will then have speaker number 13, Sarah Barajas, followed by speaker 45, Kathleen McInerney.
Hello. Got some pictures for the school. My name is Sal Briones. I'm from the south side. Grissom School that's overcrowded. I don't know if they ever brought it up to you guys yet, but I just started. When my daughter says, Dad, you got to come to the meetings. You know, when the first time she asked me, I said, well, I got to work. But the next time I found out that I was off. So I came and I see how the classes are overcrowding. And I got some pictures that they have. Their gym is their auditorium and the lunchroom, and they have nothing, you know, for themselves. And the library is crowded. It's the music room, it's the art room, and if you see some of the pictures that she's bringing up to you, there's the teacher's cafeteria is part of a class now. And some of the kids are outside with the teacher being educated because there's no other rooms available for the kids. If you see page 3, you see the 6th graders, the math room, it's got 45 kids in there. How is a kid going to get his fair share of being educated? And the next page, you can see the kids are in the hallway being educated by a teacher. No rooms available. Just want to get straight to the, you know, seeing what everybody here's got, you know, and trying to say my things. You know, it's just, I hope that I get some results soon, or not be pushed under the rug. Hey, okay, bye. You know, you can see the pictures right there, and got no more to say, just that it's overcrowded.
Thank you, Mr. Briones.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
They have additional speakers from Grissom, Mr. President. The next one is 15, Carmen Rodriguez, please. And then I understand also Speaker 27, Brittany Gomez and Becky Salazar are with this group. Ms. Rodriguez?
Hello, my name is Carmen Rodriguez, and I am a concerned parent. I have 2 children at Grissom Elementary. I am here to speak about the overcrowding also at Grissom. The 8th grade class has 42 kids. So 42 kids, 8th graders, they're pretty much they're adult size. You add the desks, teacher, the aides, it's pretty packed in there. Like he mentioned, our gym, which isn't even full size, is used as a gym, lunchroom, auditorium. We were offered to make our art room into a classroom and then throw art on a cart. I don't understand why our kids should have to suffer and not have an art room like other schools. Our art room is our library, our music room, all of that into one class, and they want to take that away from our children. That's not fair. That would only allow one more classroom, which still doesn't even give us enough for all the room that we need for all the kids that we have, the overcrowding. We need a permanent solution. In the meantime, we would take something like, we need something temporary in the meantime, but we would like a plan for something permanent, because I don't see why our children on the southeast side are always forgotten about. Lincoln Park got a new annex, cost billions. So we would just hope that you would show the same concern for our children on the far southeast side. They deserve the same education and staff that people on the north side are given. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rodriguez. The next speaker, speaker 27, Brittany Gomez.
Hello, my name is Brittany Gomez, and I am a parent to a preschooler at Grissom Elementary. We are in dire need of relief for the issues of overcrowding. I want to start off by saying Grissom is labeled a fine arts school, but when you think of fine arts, I think of technology, art, books, and music, and yet our art room is half a literature room. Our music room is half an old library, and we don't even have a librarian, and is also used to pull students out for MTSS. Our gym is poorly lit with no air conditioning that also serves as a lunchroom and an auditorium. Our old small computer lab was taken away and converted to a special ed classroom shared by 2 teachers with only bookshelves separating them. During the morning hours, our teacher's lounge is used to pull SPED students and bilinguals. As you can tell, we have many multi-use rooms in our school, which leaves no room for our children, let alone for them to expand their creativity like you would think a fine arts school should do. Because space is so limited, activities as in extracurriculars available to our children are also limited. For example, we can't form a school band because there's simply no space to even store instruments. I'm an alumni of Grissom. I spent my entire elementary career there from preschool until 8th grade. This was an issue from when I was a student over 15 years ago. How many years and generations is it going to take for us to be heard and helped? I want a quality education for our children, which they cannot receive due to over 40 children in a classroom, which is multiple classrooms plus staff. You have bilingual, you have SPED, you have the regular teacher, and you have aides. So sometimes leaves close to 50 people in one classroom. Sure, I could take the easy way out and try to transfer my child to another school or pay for her education, but Grissom is part of my community and close to my heart, and I believe all our children in our community deserve the best, and I want to be part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. And their last speaker from Grissom, speaker 35, please, Peggy Salazar.
My name is Peggy Salazar. I am a lifelong resident of the Southeast Side. I am actually a product of an underperforming elementary school, J.N. Thorpe, which I'm sure if you check today, 60 years later, it's still an underperforming elementary school. I'm here because I understand that the mission of CPS is to guarantee a quality education for all the children of Chicago. And I'm not an expert in education, but I can tell you that a child cannot excel in the conditions that have been talked about today. Grissom with classrooms with over 40 students in one classroom. Classrooms divided in half to accommodate 2 classes at the same time. We've got Washington High School falling apart at the seams, and I just heard Band-Aid approaches offered here at this meeting, shoring up walls, you know, sticking cotton into the cracks. It's hard for me to comprehend how you can even suggest something like this when the situation is much more dire than that. Bowen High School, 4 months without heat in its gym, a roof that's been leaking for years. This is ridiculous. Clay, we talked about safety here. Clay School, I just found out they're barring students from using their playground at Clay School because the disrepair is making it so unsafe. I just don't understand this. And so I'm here today to ask you to be accountable, to challenge the policies, the practices that have been feeding into this inequity of funding for our schools on the Southeast Side. Things like TIF districts. Across the street from Washington High School, where the school is falling apart, the developer has been guaranteed $55 million in TIF funds to build a road, and we can't get Washington Elementary School in the shape it needs to be, or a school to the people and community that it needs.
Ms. Salazar?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is that the last speaker on this?
Yes, sir.
Clarence, Arnie's not here, but are you, give me some status of what we're doing.
Literally all the different issues you all were raising regarding Washington as well as Grissom and also Bowen as well, because we're very familiar with that one too. Right now, and for a good while, Bowen had a temporary heating system that was applied there, but now we are actually working on the permanent system being fixed at Bowen. And at Washington, we already covered that one, and also at Grissom as well. So we actually are looking into all these different issues, trying to address them promptly.
Thank you. Chief McDade, on the overcrowding, any comments?
This specifically to the classroom overcrowding, I do know that what the community has brought forward is the fact that there is overcrowding in the classroom at Grissom, and this is something that we take very seriously. As a former teacher, I do understand what you're talking about in terms of having too many students in the classroom. For some of those classrooms, some of the solutions, not necessarily solution, but temporary fixes for right now have been aids, but long term with the space issue, what we are doing is working on a plan to mitigate the risk of overcrowding moving forward. For this current year, it's difficult. It's a complex situation because of the space constraints. It's not as simple as just creating another classroom, because as you stated, the space is not there to do that. But we are working with the principal to provide some solutions and some relief by way of classroom assistance and working on a long-term strategy to mitigate the risk of continued overcrowding at the school.
We actually do have the space for addition for building.
I wasn't speaking about building. I was speaking about right now opening up another classroom. So if you have, right, that's what I'm speaking to. So in terms of addressing that oversized classroom, it's difficult to address that when you don't have the space. So some of the complexity of that, I'm saying, is more of a long-term solution.
Thank you very much, Chief McDade. Thank you. You don't make me repeat myself. Look, we heard you, and I know that's why I asked Clarence to speak. That's why I asked Chief McDade to speak. Your issue has not been ignored. Class sizes that you're describing shouldn't exist, frankly, and we need to do something about it. I know they're working on it. Unfortunately, the true answer is we're not going to resolve it overnight. You just need to know that people are taking you serious and they're working on it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This gets resolved, by the end of the school year.
Thank you. As the next speakers approach the podium.
Excuse me.
No, the only thing I was just going to say is, like, similar to the issue before with Washington Elementary, just communication, Clarence. I know you're communicating to the principal, but making sure that that gets out to the stakeholders in the community is really important, because then might have saved you some time to come down here today if you knew some things weren't in process, or maybe you'd have a more narrow list of things that you wanted us to address. But just communication is really key to make sure that we get that out
with appropriate timelines.
Well, yeah, we'll figure out the best way to do that offline, but I just wanted to make clear that we're recognizing that we have to communicate in a way that you all are hearing, so I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. As the next speakers approach the podium, I'll call speaker number 16, Cassandra Bogan, 43, Natasha Dunn, 50, LaShonda Griffin, and 59, Devana Portman. Ms. Barajas, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Sarah, and my son Xavier attends CSS West Belden. My son and I are new to the West Belden family. He just started 4th grade there this past August, but I feel like we've been a part of this school for many years. The staff and parent community has welcomed us with open arms. We are always greeted with friendly faces and smiles. What attracted me to West Belden was honestly their Facebook page. I would scroll down and see pictures of students and teachers getting recognized for their achievements. I would see updates on fundraisers, reminders of meetings, and updates on the changes that were happening within the school community. I felt like this school cared enough about its families to keep them updated and involved. Communication and togetherness are qualities that mean a lot to me. I think that what really stands out is the way the administration treats and values their students. When my son entered West Belden, he was an extremely anxious child and had low self-esteem. The previous year he experienced at his former school really beat him down and put him in a negative light. In just a few short months at West Belden, his outlook had improved immensely. His teachers listen to him, respect his personal space and his emotions. They have patience with him, and most of all, they enjoy his company. He isn't a nuisance. They enjoy his silly jokes and stories. They encourage his ideas and thoughts. They give him the respect he deserves. He is doing well in his studies, and he has friends.
The first week he told me, "Mom, there aren't any bullies." That says something about a school and the atmosphere of it, when the students don't feel they need to bully because the environment they're in makes them feel safe, secure, and they mean something. All I can say is that my son attending West Belden has improved our lives for the better. And I want to end this on a note that was left for my son and his classmates by his teachers. Never quit when you stumble or back down. What happened yesterday no longer matters. Today is another day, so get back on track and move closer to the dreams and goals. You can do it. We love you, we believe in you, and we are so proud of you. Ms. Myers, Ms. Ortega, and Ms. Sanders. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Barajas. And the next speaker, speaker 45, please, Ms. McInerney.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kathy McInerney, and I'm also here representing Chicago International Charter School's West Belden campus, where I am a second grade teacher and have been for the last 5 years. West Belden is on the west side of Chicago in the Belmont-Cragen neighborhood and is one of CICS's 14 campuses, serving over 8,300 students, and we are managed by Distinctive Schools. At West Belden, one of our main focuses is continuous improvement through innovation. CICS West Belden has been nationally recognized for our model of personalized learning. We are providing students a student-centered learning experience and designing learning based on student needs, passions, interests, strengths, and feedback. We are grateful for the opportunities to collaborate with other charters and district schools across CPS as we work together to continuously reimagine and transform learning. Last year, CICS afforded me the opportunity to take a year-long course on social emotional learning, and it is something that is very important to me as a teacher, to teach the whole child. Lost my spot. In my classroom, students are not only taught core curriculum, they are taught to recognize and manage their emotions, form relationships, be good friends, and make responsible decisions in school and in life. We are continuously ensuring that we are focused on supporting students through social emotional learning practices, as well as a strong restorative justice model. I've also had the opportunity to work on an expanded design team within my network to help spread and streamline social emotional learning practices across our whole network. Another important part of my work is my role as a parent-teacher liaison. In this role, I've had the privilege to work with so many different parents and amazing families at West Belden. We've worked together to raise money, through exciting fundraisers, solve problems, and host elected officials at West Belden. I just want to thank you for allowing me to speak today and invite you all to come visit. Our doors are always open for you to come and see the amazing thing all of our students are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McInerney. Our next speaker, please, speaker 43 then, Natasha Dunn. 16, Cassandra Bogan.
Cassandra Bogan, King College Prep Local School Council Chairperson. As the recently chosen LSC Chairperson, I'm here to reaffirm the King College Prep LSC's vote of no confidence. The vote solidifies our conviction that Ms. Beatty Sevier is incapable of effective leadership as a principal. My predecessor issued a letter of no confidence to Chief Pruitt, Network 17, dated January 29th of 2019. To our disappointment, we haven't received as much as an acknowledgement of receipt from CEO Jackson's office. The 11-page document, which you're receiving now, the 11-page document contains an updated letter addressed to CEO Jackson, copies of the original letter of no confidence, and supporting attachments. Every document provided today supports our vote of no confidence and provides substantial basis to support our request for immediate removal for cause of Ms. Beatty Sevier. The documents reveal Ms. Beatty Sevier has violated her duties of employment by failing to act in a manner of a reasonably prudent educator in supervision of students. She has violated the duty to refrain from performing her work in a negligent or incompetent manner. She has violated the duty to avoid conduct unbecoming of a CPS employee. CEO Jackson, on behalf of this LSC, the parents, the staff, the students of King College Prep, we implore you to act diligently and remove Ms. Beatty Sevier.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else going to speak on this?
There's additional speakers noted, Mr. President.
Okay, we'll
Is
hold our
Lash-
comments until everyone speaks.
Thank you. Is LaShonda Griffin?
My name is Devonna Portwood, and I'm the senior class president at King College Prep. As you may know, our school has been under new administration as of the 2018-2019 school year. This administration, ran by Melanie Sevier, has repeatedly proven to be toxic for King. We've been demoted from a level 1+ school to a level 1 school. Our population is constantly under decline because students and parents feel like King isn't giving them the tools and opportunities that a selective enrollment school should provide. Instead of enriching our school, she's been ruling with an iron fist, being very unreceptive to student and parents' thoughts, ideas, and needs. We've had many programs taken away from us. Sorry, lost my spot. We've been stripped of our library. When we lost our college and career counselor, the position was left unfilled for months, leaving the seniors feeling lost and unsupported, many of us missing crucial deadlines. We also had a vacancy for a security guard, and Sevier told us that the position was open for so long because they were trying to find a good candidate. Well, this security guard turned out to be a creep, staring at girls' butts and making sexually ambiguous comments to many students. The students found his Facebook page, and his Facebook was disgusting. It turns out that Ms. Sevier is friends with him on Facebook, yet she still hired this man to be around adolescents. Before Christmas break, me and other student leaders coordinated the third sit-in protesting Sevier. The day before our sit-in, I was sat down by a member of the NHS Council at my school and was told that there would be repercussions for my actions. Later on that day, my mother and father received a call stating that if I go through with the sit-in, I can be kicked off of NHS, lose my scholarships, and/or be expelled. I still went through with it because I knew that I was well within my rights in the Student Code of Conduct by holding a peaceful protest, but this person wanted to play off the ignorance of my parents in hopes to stop me. I met with Dr. Pruitt and told him what happened.
Ms. Portman, can you please conclude?
I'm wrapping up, thank you. I met with Dr. Pruitt and told him what happened. He called my parents and confirmed that I was threatened by a member of KCP staff. He told me it would be investigated, yet it never was, and I was told by a source that it was closed and put down as it never happened. This is just one example of the many times that CPS officials have ignored KCP and swept our problems under the rug. I'm asking for CPS to reopen this investigation and actually do their job and investigate. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there another speaker on this?
No, sir.
Okay. This has got some legal ramifications. I'll turn to our general counsel.
Thank you, President Clark. First of all, I apologize if no one's acknowledged your letter.
We have acknowledged the letter.
Yeah. Okay.
There's been a whole meeting with them regarding the letter.
So your letter has been referred to the law department for analysis and evaluation. Essentially, you've asked to trigger a statutory process, and there are attorneys in the law department who are evaluating your request and will be advising you within the next couple of weeks about what we are able to do under the statute. So you should expect a response from us in the next couple of weeks.
I'm sorry, sir. Are you speaking to the student or to?
To you, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which letter are you saying was acknowledged, and which meeting was that?
I'm referring to the letter that you were given to Chief Pruitt. There are several complaints that come in from multiple members of the LSC on a regular basis. We conducted a meeting with members from my cabinet with you after the first letter was sent to Mr. Pruitt. Is that correct?
January the 4th, which was?
That was after January 27th, to listen to all of your complaints, to enumerate them so that we can respond to the ones directly and close out those that have been resolved, like several that were discussed today, and also acknowledge that there are some that are open. So I just want to clarify for the record that our office has been responsive. I know for a fact that you won't be satisfied until the principal is removed. However, there is a statutory process, there's a due process that must be afforded to everybody involved, and we have been taking into consideration your concerns, which we take seriously, but also the rights of a contracted principal who was assigned a contract from an elected body, the LSC. So this is a process, and we appreciate you continuing to bring these things to our attention. We will continue to respond to them. However, we are not in violation of the statutory requirements to respond to your vote of no confidence.
And well, just for clarity.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That was
Thank you,
Mr.
very
President.
much. Thank you.
The next speaker, Mr. President, will be speaker number 17, Gladys Trujillo, followed by speaker 42, Leti Orozco. We will then have speaker number 22, Arnold Stieber, followed by speaker 25, Brian Ortega, 30, Miriam Gutierrez, and 40, Maria Almazan. Ms. Trujillo.
Buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Gladys. Soy madre de 3.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gladys. I'm the mother of 3 children.
La educación mejora entornos, comunidades, ciudades y países.
Education improves family environment, neighborhoods, cities, and countries.
Mis hijos fueron y crecieron en escuelas públicas tradicionales. 2 de ellas se graduaron y tenían buenos grados para solicitar un lugar en las escuelas selectivas, pero no sucedió.
My children went to and grew up in traditional public school. 2 of them had already graduated and had good grades, but to be able to apply for selective schools, but that did not happen.
Un docente de la escuela primaria me recomendó las escuelas nobles sobre escuelas privadas o del barrio. Específicamente me recomendó Roner College Prep.
An elementary school recommended my children to apply for noble schools, specifically Roner College Prep, instead of private schools.
Mis hijas se adaptarían y tendrían mejor beneficio en una comunidad pequeña. Por esto siempre se lo voy a agradecer a esa persona.
I knew that they would get accustomed to that school environment and that a smaller community was more beneficial for them. I'll always be grateful for this.
Han pasado 5 años, una se ha graduado y es muy independiente. Vive en Gettysburg College en Pennsylvania.
5 years have passed. One of my children lives on her own and goes to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania.
La otra está en el grado 11, es junior, es muy competitiva, con buenos grados, tiene un GPA de 4 y está satisfecha con sus maestros.
My other child is a junior high school student. She's competitive and she's happy with her teacher. She has a GPA of 4.
Estoy aquí representando a las escuelas nobles, específicamente Roner, y es muy desafortunado saber que esas escuelas no son financiadas de manera justa para permitirles operar al 100%.
I'm here to represent the Roner College Prep Noble School, but I'd like to let you know that it's unfortunate that these schools are not being fairly funded to allow them to fully operate.
He visto resultados y los puedo recomendar académicamente. Les pido que les tengan más en mente cuando hagan sus presupuestos. Por su atención, muchas gracias. Buen día.
I've seen results and I'll recommend these results. I'm here.
He visto resultados.
I've seen results and I will recommend this result. Academic results. I'm asking you to keep these schools in mind when making the school budget. Thank you so much for your attention. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you. And their next speaker is speaker 42, please, Leti Orozco.
Mr. President and Board, my name is Leti Orozco, no relation to the Orozco School. I want to thank you for supporting Noble Charter Schools. My son is a sophomore at ITW Spear. He's also a SPED kid. As we heard today, overcrowding and lack of special education services are just some of the reasons I chose Spear. As a parent, the smaller classrooms and the more support available to him are the reasons my son has made tremendous growth. He started as a freshman in a 100% self-contained classroom, and today as a sophomore, he has a 4.1 GPA. He is 5% of his graduating class, and he's a member of ROTC. He's grown academically, socially, emotionally, and he is on track for applying to a top-tier university. Please continue supporting Noble School and consider increasing our funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Orozco. And the next speaker, please, Arnold Stieber.
Hi there.
My name is Arnie Stieber. I'm a grandfather, retired from business. I'm the coordinator of the Chicago chapter of Veterans for Peace. And I was in the Army and the infantry in the U.S. war against the people of Vietnam. It's Black History Month, so I'm here to remind everybody about Martin Luther King's, what I think is the most powerful speech he gave in 1968. It was called Beyond Vietnam. And in that speech, he talked about the triple evils of racism, materialism, and militarism. Now, the last two caused a lot of people concern because no one talked about that. They expected him to talk about racism. And for me, I want to concentrate on militarization because CPS is the most militarized school system in the nation. In that speech, he pointed out the fact that he went into the inner cities and talked with the gang leaders and told them to stop committing violence. And their response to him was, why? That's what our nation does. And they were referring to the military, about a war going on. The U.S. solves its problems by sending in the Marines and everybody else. And those words really affected Dr. King. And he came back and he said that I knew I could never raise my voice against violence without first having spoken clearly about the greatest purveyor of violence in the world, my own government. He also said in that speech, the calling to speak is often a vocation of agony, but we must speak. And that's why I'm here today, to speak about the militarization of our youth.
Mr. Stieber.
Through the junior ROTC program. I say education, not militarization. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. And our next speakers, please, from Acero. I understand Speaker 30, Miriam Gutierrez. And Speaker 25 will translate, Brian Ortega.
Buenas tardes, Presidente Clark, miembros de la Junta y doctora Jackson. Mi nombre es María Almaraz. Mis hijas, Abril y Frida, asisten a la escuela primaria Bartolomé de las Casas. Abril está en 7º grado y Frida está en 4º grado. También tengo un hijo que se graduó de Casas hace 5 años y estoy muy orgullosa de decir que asiste a Macalester College en Minnesota. Y esa es una de las cosas que realmente me gusta de Casas y Escuelas Acero. Promueven una cultura universitaria a lo largo de todas sus escuelas. Esta generación de alumnos serán los líderes del mañana y Escuelas Acero cree en sus alumnos y les ayuda a desarrollar habilidades que les ayudarán a triunfar no solo en la escuela preparatoria, pero también en la universidad.
Good afternoon, President Clark, distinguished board members, and Dr. Jackson. My name is Maria Almaraz, and my children, Abril and Frida, attend Bartolomé de las Casas Elementary. Abril is in 7th grade, and Frida is in 4th grade. I also have a son who graduated from Casas 5 years ago, and I'm very proud to say that he now attends Marcalas College in Minnesota. And that is one of the things that I really like about Casas and Acero schools. They promote a college-going culture throughout all of their schools. This generation of students will be tomorrow's leaders, and Acero Schools believes in their students and help them develop the skills that help them succeed, not just in high school, but in college too.
Otra cosa que hace que la escuela sea excelente es una comunidad escolar fuerte. He sido voluntaria desde que la escuela se abrió en el 2006. He estado allí más tiempo que cualquiera de los alumnos y muchos del personal. Es por eso que Casas es un gran recurso para nuestra comunidad y estoy siempre dispuesta a apoyarla, ya sea ayudando a preparar carpetas semanales, eventos escolares, como actividades Navidad, de Día del Niño, el Día de los Muertos, y aquí para abogar por una financiación equitativa.
Another thing that makes the school great is having a strong school community. I have been volunteering at events ever since the school opened in 2006. I've been there longer than any other student and many of the staff. But that is because I think Casas is a great resource for our community, and I am always willing to support it, whether it is helping prepare Friday folders, volunteering at school events, such as activities for Christmas, Día del Niño, or Día de los Muertos, or coming down here with others concerned parents to advocate for equitable funding.
Estoy muy contenta de que puedo enviar a mis hijos a una buena escuela, justo en nuestro vecindario. Es importante que los padres tengamos opciones. Me complace mucho elegir a Casas para mis hijos y animo a la mesa directiva a continuar brindando su apoyo para nosotros de tener opciones escolares y a las escuelas charter al garantizar una distribución justa y equitativa de fondos.
And I am very glad that I can send my children to such a good school right in our neighborhood. It is important for parents to have choices. I am very pleased that I was able to choose Casas for my children, and I encourage the board to continue its support for choice and for charter schools by ensuring fair and equitable funding. Thank you.
Thank you. And the next speaker.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Miriam Gutiérrez. Mi hijo Fabián asiste a la escuela primaria Bartolomé de las Casas, que es parte de las escuelas Charter Acero. Mi hija Nicole también asistió a Casas, se graduó el año pasado y ahora asiste a la preparatoria Jones. Estoy orgullosa de mi hija por ser tan buena alumna y muy contenta de que la educación que recibió en Casas le ayudó a ser aceptada en una escuela preparatoria.
Hello, my name is Miriam Gutierrez, and my son Fabian attends Bartolomé de las Casas Elementary School, which is part of the Acero Charter School Network. My daughter Nicole also attends Casas. She graduated last year and now attends Jones College Prep. I'm proud of my daughter for being such a good student and very happy that the education she received at Casas helped her get accepted at such a good high school.
Como madre quiero lo mejor para mis hijos, por lo tanto agradezco tener la opción de elegir a dónde puedo enviar a mis hijos a la escuela. Estoy muy satisfecha con la calidad y la cultura en Casas. Está claro que la directora y los maestros realmente se preocupan por los niños que asisten a la escuela.
As a parent, I want what is best for my children, so I appreciate having a choice regarding where I send my children to school. I'm very satisfied with the quality and culture at Casas. It's clear that the principal and teachers really care about the children who attend the school.
También me gusta que se me anima y se me admite la participación de padres. Soy una madre voluntaria muy activa. Yo trabajo en varios programas escolares y participo en el comité PAMS, Padres en una Misión para el Éxito del Estudiante. Ayudamos a planificar y facilitar las actividades en la escuela, como el Día del Niño y Día de los Muertos. Mi apoyo a la escuela es la razón por la que me complace estar aquí hoy para abogar en nombre de Casas y escuelas charter.
I also like the parent involvement. It is encouraged and welcomed. I'm a very active parent volunteer. I work on multiple school programs and serve on the PAMS committee, which is Parents on a Mission for Student Success. We help plan and facilitate activities for schools such as Dia de los Niños, Dia de Muertos. My support of the school is why I am happy to be here today to advocate on behalf of Casas and charter schools.
Tenemos muchas escuelas charter exitosas en Chicago. Dan a los padres el derecho de elegir, lo cual es importante. Muchos de nosotros no podemos permitirnos el lujo de escuelas privadas, pero aún queremos lo mejor para nuestros hijos y agradecemos tener grandes opciones como Escuelas Acero en nuestra comunidad.
We have many very successful charter schools in Chicago. They give parents a choice, which is important. Many of us can't afford private schools, but we still want the best for our children, and we appreciate having great options like Acero schools right in our community.
Señora Gutierrez, can you please conclude?
Yes. Le pido a la mesa directiva continuar brindando su apoyo para nosotros tener opciones escolares y a las escuelas charter a garantizar una distribución justa y equitativa de fondos para que todos los alumnos de las escuelas públicas, incluyendo escuelas charter, puedan recibir la educación de alta calidad que se merecen y necesitar salir adelante en la vida. Gracias.
To conclude, I encourage the board to continue its support for choice and for charter schools by ensuring fair and equitable funding so that all public school students, including charter school students, can receive the quality education they deserve and need to get ahead in life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies.
Thank you. And our next speakers, Mr. President, will be speaker number 36, please. Teresa Herp, followed by 37, Savelina Thurman. We then have speaker 44, Adriana Martinez, 46, Erica Pugh, and 57, Ronald Jackson. Please state your name.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Tracy Yerpe. Last year, Principal Armendariz and members of the Lincoln School Administration discriminated against my son, Ian, and violated our rights in the IEP process. I submitted 5 referrals to have Ian evaluated for special education. I did not receive a response from Lincoln for any of these requests. Meanwhile, my son continued to struggle, had anxiety, difficulty focusing in class, was behaviorally dysregulated, and wasn't keeping up with reading. Although an independent evaluation diagnosed Ian with ADHD, anxiety disorder, and dyslexia, Lincoln refused to evaluate him. Ian has encopresis, which causes incontinence. Lincoln treated this medical condition as a behavioral disorder. Principal Armendariz went so far as to suggest punishing Ian by forcing him, a 6-year-old boy, to clean up his toileting accidents at school. No matter what I did, I could not get help for my son. I was consistently belittled and dismissed. I was stripped of my dignity and integrity as a parent. Lincoln failed to follow federally mandated procedures until I engaged an advocate. Finally, Ian was issued a 504 plan that was never implemented. Lincoln denied services to my son for more than an entire school year, as there was every indication that Lincoln was not going to meet its obligation to provide my son with a free, appropriate public education. My husband and I rented an apartment within the Alcott Elementary School boundaries. I'm happy to report that Ian received an IEP at Alcott and is thriving in 2nd grade. No parent should ever endure the injustices I experienced while advocating for my son's well-being at school. Lincoln's administration was dehumanizing and in violation of my son's civil rights. In a district with a 14% diverse learner population, Lincoln, less than 5% of students at Lincoln have an IEP. Clearly, Lincoln has an unofficial policy to keep diverse learner numbers low by intimidating parents. It's deplorable that a school that discriminates against diverse learners is ranked number 2 by Chicago Magazine. Laura Bodeker, the ISB monitor, assured me, I'm almost done, assured me that she is investigating these practices at Lincoln. Please ensure that her investigation is thorough and that current struggling diverse learner parents at Lincoln are guaranteed a free, appropriate public education for their children. Restore my faith in CPS by putting our children first.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chief McDade.
Yes, I know that there is an investigation into this, and I know Dr. Keenan has a little bit more information.
Yeah, and we've been in communication with ISB Monitor, and we've been investigating it also on our end. So there will be that assurance that we're being thorough, and we're making sure that we will get to the bottom of what's going on.
Thank you. Can you tell me anything that's, in
Can't-
what way are they evaluating?
Because
What
it's an
measures are they
investigation,
taking?
we can't.
If there's more,
Without
excuse
even-
me, ladies, if there's more that you want to talk about,
In
do
what
it
manner
aside.
are they even
They'll take you
investigating?
aside and answer your questions in more depth.
Okay.
Thank you very much, though.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Our next speaker, please.
No, they'll tell us more
Severina
information.
Thurman, last call.
Please.
Moving on to the next speaker then, please. Speaker 44, Adriana Martinez.
Hola, buenas tardes a todos. Mi nombre es Adriana Martínez y yo soy una mamá de la comunidad de 2 niños en las escuelas públicas de Chicago, ubicadas en La Villita. Yo he estado muy activa en las escuelas de mis hijos porque para mí es de suma importancia el crecimiento académico y emocional. Yo he estado como voluntaria, chaperón, parte del concilio escolar, del comité bilingüe, del comité PAC y tomo clases de inglés y GED. También soy líder en la comunidad con la organización Enlace Chicago. Estoy aquí para hablar sobre la póliza de voluntarios. A mí me importa mucho la seguridad de mis hijos y de los demás niños en las escuelas. Quiero lo mejor para ellos y sus compañeros, pero no estoy de acuerdo que al mantener la seguridad de mis hijos se excluyan a los padres de las escuelas. Al enforzar una póliza que creo sin la participación de los padres, sin cuidado alguno del impacto a personas inmigrantes. La póliza sobre los voluntarios perjudica a muchas personas, específicamente en mi comunidad, donde tenemos una de las mayores concentraciones de inmigrantes. Estoy preocupada porque en mi comunidad muchas personas indocumentadas ya no se sienten bienvenidas en las escuelas a causa del requisito nivel 1. El enforzamiento de esta póliza es una manera de excluir a los padres de las escuelas a base del estatus legal. Me preocupan las posibles consecuencias si la revisión nivel 1 llega al FBI. Sabemos que la administración actual es antiinmigrante y en cualquier momento,
Señora Martínez.
De un momento a otro, el Departamento Federal puede tener acceso a nuestra información. Los padres somos un recurso más para las escuelas que ya sufren de los bajos recursos. Señora Jackson y el resto de la mesa directiva de CPS, ¿Qué están haciendo ustedes para asegurar que ningún padre de las familias se sientan excluidos de las escuelas de sus hijos? Gracias por su tiempo.
I will interpret, and in future, it would be fantastic if all CPS Board of Ed meetings were held, if interpretation was made available besides sign language.
We do have a Spanish translator, ma'am. Please
For the
proceed.
entire meeting. My name is Adriana Martinez, and I am a mother of 2 CPS children in Little Village Public Schools. I have been very active in my children's schools because academic and emotional growth is of paramount importance to me. I have been a volunteer, a chaperone, part of the local school council, the bilingual committee, the PAC, and I take English and GED classes. I'm also a leader in my community with Enlace Chicago. I'm here to talk about the volunteer policy. I care very much for the safety of my children and the other children in the schools. I want the best of them and their classmates. But I do not agree that by keeping the safety of my children, parents are excluded from schools as a result of enforcing a policy that was created without parental involvement, without any care for the impact on immigrants. The policy on volunteers harms many people, specifically in my community, where we have one of the largest concentrations of immigrants who are also sometimes undocumented. I am concerned because in my community, many undocumented people no longer feel welcomed in the schools because of the level 1 requirement. Enforcement of this policy is a way to exclude parents from schools based on their legal status. I am concerned about potential consequences that this level 1 background check will have if it reaches the FBI. We know that the current administration at the federal level is anti-immigrant, and at any time another federal department can have access to our information. Parents are one more resource for schools that are already suffer from low resources. Ms. Janice Jackson and the rest of the Board of Directors at CPS, what are you doing to ensure that no parents feel left out of their children's schools?
Thank you very much. Board members, this is a very sensitive issue. Any comments? I know that this is something we've talked about.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question was what is statutorily required and what is our policy? And I think that where it's our policy, I think that's something that we could look at. Where it's statutorily required and it would require a change in the law, like I think we said that we would be willing to support folks that are making that change. I don't know, Joe, do you have any other commentary on that?
No, you know, this is a sensitive issue that I know the administration has been looking at to strike the right balance, but this is a question in which the administration has to balance the safety of children and the parent participation, and it's something that we're continuing to look at.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Follow-up to this probably next month will be about an LSC bill that has been introduced at the state level, introduced by
Thank
Senator
you. Our next speaker, please. Speaker 46, Erica Pugh.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I'm back again because I had reported to you all about an issue at Harvard.
You probably want to get a little closer to the mic.
I reported to you all about an issue at John Harvard Elementary School on 75th and Harvard about the principal and her staff bullying and harassing my children along with students. And I report, ever since I reported, first they endangered my child by handing it off to a stranger first. And then due to me coming and report to you all of what had occurred, my kids have been getting harassed by students. The principal saying the best thing for her would be put in a mental home by threatening her, saying she's going to be put in SAS. She's been sitting in the hallway for hours at a time alone. And when I asked about the situation, I reached out to AUSL. They did nothing. Ms. Child had put someone in place to make sure nothing happened to my child, but that didn't go as well because under the person that she put in place, my daughter was attacked, and here go the picture with abused by the boy, and no report was made. I asked for the report. I still haven't received the report from the lady that was put in place by the name of Ms. Nicole through Ms. Child. I still haven't seen the report of that. And I've been coming and reporting to everybody. I spoke with Mr. Nielsen. They said they was going to investigate the situation of my daughter being handed to a stranger. Still nothing, no investigation, no results, no callbacks, no nothing. So it's no results to the situation, but like, what's the disciplinary action like with the principal? Why is it okay for her to endanger my child and still like harass my family after the fact of me coming to let you all know exactly what did she do? Why is it okay for Ms. McCarthy and Mr. Dunn and Mr. Blissett, and then why is it okay for those staffs to harass my children while they're at that school? And I mean, I didn't do no wrong by reporting to them because they endangered my child handing it off to a stranger.
All right.
And nothing still was done about the situation, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Clark.
Thank you very much.
There's
Let
one
me make a few
additional
comments.
speaker, Mr.
Oh, it's
President?
another speaker?
Yes,
Then let me let you
Ronald Jackson,
before we
please.
respond.
Thank you,
Go
Mr.
ahead.
President. Speaker 57.
This is your daughter, which I take it, right?
Yes.
Yes.
To do a follow-up, Mr. Clark, you said yourself that the investigator would be impartial. We found out that she was working for the board. She came in and saying that she worked for the board, but you're saying that she would not be working for the board. Why is it that 2 investigators had to come in? She pays off her information and there's nothing being done. Her daughter's been harassed. We came numerous times to everyone. What do it take for a child to get some service up here, Mr. Clark, as well as you, Ms. Jackson? We already have a video of a child who been bullied at another school, almost took his life. What does it take for you to get this through your head that this is not no joke? I mean, and it's not just one person. Do this have to be another sexual abuse or scandal for you to get off your rocking horse and say, wait a minute, we got to get rid of these people? Ms. Jackson got the nerve to go on there talking about she's doing a diligent hiring process. What's the deal with this principal? This is crazy. Let's not come here next time just because this child came here for help and then we find out we have to go to her funeral. Because you, Ms. Clark, and this body refuse to take any action. Does she have to take legal action to sue you and Ms. Jackson to protect her daughter? Because it seems like you're not getting it. She came to everyone. Just as the lady who's in the video came to everyone. Now her child's sitting on a life support system. It just seems like all y'all can do is just, well, we got to go through a process. Do you have to go through a process when you suspend a child? It's a fact that they gave the child to a stranger. There's no investigation done need to be said about that. It's a fact, but yet no disciplinary action been taken. Then they keep telling the child that if you keep doing this, we're going to put staff on you, then we're going to send you to Hop Grove. And then you got this child crying. We got a video when Mr. from the head of AUSL came in that she was crying because the principal, this child don't have no reason to lie and say this. And then when she got an IEP sitting in the auditorium by herself for an hour, come on now, that's a violation of not only state law, but federal law as well. But yet, your law department seems like we're going to cover it up because you scared to lose a couple of dollars. What's more important, a child's life or a couple of dollars? I'm waiting for an answer from you, Mr. Clark.
Well, I was waiting for you to finish.
Oh, go ahead then. I apologize.
Are you finished?
Yeah, I'm finished.
Okay, a couple of things. You had a picture that you said that showed that your child had been attacked by another child? Yes. Show that to Jadine. Jadine, look at that. Maybe you can even get it transferred to you. Chief McDade, do you have anything to add to this?
Jadine has been, I know Safety and Security has been dealing with this, so I do want to hear from her, and I know that it did go to investigation, and the person that they mentioned, Nelson, I believe, is in our legal department as a part of one of our investigators. So I don't have, it's not something that we can share here publicly. I would like to have an opportunity for Elisa to meet you out in the hall to get all of the contact information so we can kind of sit down and go through all of the series of events, because it sounds like there's been several different individuals working with you.
No. We gave out all this information. She keep giving out this information. The only thing it's doing is keep going over and over. Every time she comes to a meeting, the same thing is happening. This principal even said it out loud. Good luck with the case that you're trying to build. No one's trying to build no case. She already had DCFF come to her house. Check her phone records. Why would DCFF come to her house for neglect, environment neglect, and it was unfounded?
I'm sorry, sir. I really don't like to cut people off, but I hear you. Chief McDade has heard you. Jadine in the background has heard you. No one is ignoring this. Now let me finish.
Okay.
I don't know that it's been resolved, obviously, to your satisfaction, because it obviously hasn't. I had Jadine look at the picture that you had on your cell phone, which is new information. No one is ignoring you at all, whether you agree or disagree. You're not been ignored. Maybe you haven't got the answer that you want, but you're not been ignored, and this is being worked on. Now, that's the best answer I can give you.
But this is what I'm saying, Mr. Clark.
No.
Why is the lady who sit there, who's supposed to be protecting her, why did she not
get
a report? Where's the report at? That's what I'm saying. You keep on talking about to my thing.
Here's what I need you to do. I'm trying to hear you, and I will definitely, this board, not just me, will be responsive to you. You have to just let me finish. That's the answer. It's just not a satisfactory answer. No one is ignoring you, and if there's an immediate danger for this child, based on what you're saying, I don't know that there is or isn't. I know what you told me. I have no reason. I don't know whether what you're telling me will prove out to be factually correct, but I know you believe it, and that's what you're sharing to. No one's going to ignore that. And that's the best answer I can give you right now.
Well, I tell you what, Mr. Clark, since you're saying that's the best answer you can give me, why don't you meet with the principal? Why don't you meet with Ms. Child's staff and ask them personally, did this principal hand this child off to a stranger without notifying the parent? That's a violation of your policy right there.
What I need right now is for you to understand that you have been heard, and you have been. Now I need you to give another person a chance to bring their case. Thank you very much.
Another chance? Okay, what is it going to take for her to be in the box?
Thank you, Mr. Jackson.
That's what it's going to take, Mr. Clark, because you're sitting up there like it's
Our next speaker, please.
What?
You're sitting up there like it's a joke because this child, there's already a video of a child out there right now on life support system because he was being bullied.
That's a
and
regrettable.
All you sit there and says, look.
You know what you need to do? You
know what you need to do your job and quit getting paid.
Getting paid? Who gets paid? No one gets paid here. This is voluntary. Look, you've been heard. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next speaker, please.
By the way, I have to clear this up because it comes up from time to time. I don't. Now, look, you have to stop talking and disrupting the meeting. That you have to do. Tell the gentleman. Escort the gentleman out. Thank you. Thank you. It's time for you to stop talking. There are 2 points that are important to make. One, we won't ignore this, and I don't know all the facts now. I know what we've been told, and we will diligently look into this and obviously protect the interests of the child. That's number one. That's really the only important thing I have to say. The other issue is I don't know why people keep bringing up the fact that this is a paid board. This is a 100% voluntary board. No one here gets paid anything. That's frankly the way I think these boards should work. But we will look into this and we will make sure that, to the extent that there's any serious issue that's been overlooked, that it will be dealt with and dealt with expeditiously to make sure that the child's best interest has been protected. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. Proceeding with the final speakers on the list, we have Speaker 47, Sharon Thurman, 49, Melissa Ramirez, 53, Rosaura Alkendo, 54, Aaliyah Wiggins, and 56, Bernica Green. Sharon Thurman, last call. 49, Melissa Ramirez, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Melissa Ramirez Cooper, and I'm Director of Communication at the Illinois Network of Charter Schools. I'm pleased to announce the results of some of the work that INCS has been doing on special education. 3 years ago, INCS won a federal grant to create a special education cooperative among our member schools to ensure that charter public schools provide a fair and appropriate public education to all diverse learners. This has led to enhanced and renewed effort to ensure that charter public schools meet student needs. We are proud to report that today more than 15% of our students in charter public schools are diverse learners, compared to a district-wide rate of 14%. While some entities continue to perpetuate a false narrative that charter public schools do not serve students with disabilities, we continue to remain focused on the work. Take, for example, Epic Academy Charter School. Epic is a Level 1+ high school in South Chicago, and 21.3% of its students are diverse learners. Also consider Chicago International Charter School's Northtown campus, located in North Park neighborhood. CICS Northtown also is a Level 1+ high school with a diverse learner population of 22.7%. It's worth noting that at the federal level, the rules and regulations that guide how we approach educating students with disabilities grew out of the civil rights movement. four key federal laws that frame special education practices in public schools today are the Elementary and Secondary Act of 1965, Americans with Disability Acts, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and the Individuals Disabilities Education Act. Section 504 and the IDEA further establish structures that shape how charter public schools and public schools educate students with disabilities. So INCS, in partnership with our charter public schools in Chicago and across the state, remains deeply committed to building capacity and advocating for high-quality special education services. Our children deserve nothing less. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. And the next speaker, please. Speaker 53, Rosaura Oquendo.
Good afternoon. My name is Ms. Oquendo. I've been volunteering in two schools, West Park and North Grand, 3 years in North Grand, 6 years in West Park. I love West Park. Our kids deserve better than what they're getting. I mean, West Park is abandoned right now by everybody. And also, abandoned by the chief of safety and security, abandoned by, I mean, it's like the school does not exist. We only have scrub as far as employees, leftovers. Our kids deserve more than that. We deserve a full meal. That's what our kids deserve. I gave you the 2018 budget. I would like to know what's payroll savage. I asked our principal, the one that resigned, she didn't know. I asked the chief, she didn't know. I asked Chip Johnson, he doesn't know. Hopefully, you know, the board could answer what's exactly payroll savage. We lost last year 87,000 payroll savage. 87,000 that we could use for things in our school. This year, we're losing 30,000. So, also, I would like to know, we're having problems with our interim right now. He's doing whatever he wants to do. 3 years already. He hasn't had a contract. This year, we're not giving him a contract because he's leaving. The things are getting from bad to worse. We actually are imploring, please take him out. Please take him out. Because this is, while we're in the process of getting a good leader for our school, please, we're pleading, take him out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker, please, Aaliyah Wiggins. Last call. Moving to the last speaker then, Speaker 56, please, Bernica Green.
Good afternoon. My name is Bernica Green, and I am proud to stand as the IBMYP coordinator for Esmond Elementary School, and I am representing my principal, Dr. Angela R. Tucker, today. Upon arriving at Esmond, we were in a state of urgency. We were tasked with closing the student proficiency gaps and removing the school off of academic probation. The school was on the closing list. Our mission and vision was to build relationships with students and parents and build in-house experts with differentiated and continuous professional development. Dr. Tucker selected a team that was determined to demonstrate that when the right people are positioned with a growth mindset and the focus is children first, all children will learn and grow. Well, in the first year under Dr. Tucker's administration and with the support of the determined team, we were removed off of academic probation, closed proficiency gap from 38% to 50%, increased student attendance from 92% to now a daily average of 95%. Today, Esmond is still thriving. We posted 99% student growth in reading and math at the spring results of the NWEA 2018. We are now leading academic performance in the 19th Ward as a level 1 plus school. Thank you from the depths of our hearts and souls for thinking about Esmond and reinvesting in a well-deserved neighborhood school. a community school of 99% low-income students and relentless educators who never gave up, and with a principal who is truly an instructional leader with a heart of gold. As an IB school, we strive to provide varied opportunities for students to explore global concepts and internationalism. The annex building that we were gifted will now allow our students to further their learning as well as achieve and compete intellectually and artistically. We want to say thank you. We thank you for this investment, and it will last for generations to come. It is an honor to stand before this wonderful board. We thank the Mayor Emanuel. Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Dr. Jackson. We appreciate this opportunity, and we won't disappoint.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. That concludes public participation. And I'd just like to know, Aisha, our honorary student board member, would like to address the board.
Please do so.
Hello, everyone on the board. First of all, I would like to thank you your time on this board, and you guys are not getting paid for this, and it's your choice to sit on this board and listen to all of these concerns that people brought up to you. And then some of the concerns that students that I have met and like my student advisory council that I'm part of, and then throughout like other students in other schools, they have presented their concerns regarding their building infrastructure. Some things are like broken and they want to fix some things, and then I'm like really happy to say that they're working with their principals, so they're like communicating with each other, which I really appreciate. And then I would also like to say thank you so much for doing this, and then helping these people who come in every month to state their concern that they have, and then you take their time and respect them, and then listen to them, and then give everyone a chance to state their opinion. So thank you.
Well, that was really well said. You can say it again. No, thank you very much. Board members, do we have any comments or concerns regarding the public participation section? Anything you want to add?
Just one question to Clarence. If your team, when we do our briefings, some of the buildings that were talked about here were beyond just saying repair. So, but we should get a briefing next month, this coming month, March, so you can hit the highlights. I won't go through all the buildings. I took notes, but there's some that were just, we need to get your view of them. So I'll leave it at that.
And I'd like to see a timeline.
As part of that.
As part of the deliverables, the timeline, the status, as part of the briefing.
I would like some consideration. I know in maybe one of those cases, it was a situation previously we had heard there's no space to expand. Part of the reason there was overcrowding is they didn't want to have to send kids from the neighborhood to schools in some other neighborhood. At least the parents seem to be saying, no, there was space, and if there were building, they could expand. Anything on that of why there would be this kind of overcrowding would be helpful in the briefing.
Sure thing.
Thank you, Mr.
Okay.
President. Yes.
Let's see, Board Member Ward, do you have a motion?
I do. I move for the passage of motion number 190227M01 and the commencement of a closed session to consider matters permitted under Section 21 of the Open Meetings Act, subsections 1, 2, 5, 6, 8, 10, 11, and 21, as specified in the motion.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Furlong?
Yes.
Member Garza?
Yes.
Vice President Guzman?
Yes.
Member Ward?
Yes.
Member Goolsbee?
Yes.
And President Clark?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays.
Okay, this meeting will now go into closed session. Madam Secretary, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will start with closed session items from the General Counsel, and I will begin with continued counsel retentions. These items do require a vote. First report, authorized continued retention of the law firm Franzik Radelit PC. Second report, authorized continued retention of the law firm Taft Sutanius and Hollister LLP. And then we have the authorized continued retention of the law offices of Paul G. Nealon PC. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Furlong?
Yes.
Member Garza?
Yes.
Vice President Guzman?
Yes.
Member Ward?
Yes.
Member Goolsbee?
Yes.
And President Clark?
Yes.
That is 6 ayes. We'll proceed with settlements, and these items do require a vote. The first report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Marilyn Diaz, case numbers 10 WC 11470 and 12 WC 25625. The second report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Teresa Cazares, case number 12 WC 017163. The third report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Alberto Cardova, Senior, case numbers 15 WC 21729, 17 WC 707, 17 WC 7058, and 18 WC 9054. The fourth report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Gerald R. Grumbier, case number 13 WC 7638, and the fifth report, workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Darwin Houston, case number 11 WC 47186. The sixth report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for Jose Centeno, case number 13 WC 11968. The seventh report is the workers' compensation payment for lump sum settlement for William Swain, case number 17 WC 023501. The eighth report is approved payment of proposed settlement regarding MH, and the ninth report is approved payment of proposed settlement regarding EV. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I will continue with items from the Chief Executive Officer and proceed with one talent recommendation and warning resolutions. These items do require a vote, and they are transfer and appoint Chief of Schools effective February 3rd, 2019, and ratify all lawful actions taken as Chief of Schools since February 3rd, 2019 for Mauricio Segovia. I'll continue with the warning resolutions. The first one is the warning resolution for Stephen Blair, teacher assigned to Lakeview High School. The second report is the warning resolution for Tiffany Hurd, teacher assigned to Carol Rosenwald Elementary School. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you. I'll continue with items from the board. These items do require a vote. The first report is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss educational support personnel. And the second board report is the resolution approving the Chief Executive Officer's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers. And for the record, Mr. President, I would like to note that on February 22nd, 2019, the board members and the Office of the Board received the CEO's recommendation to dismiss probationary appointed teachers pursuant to Board Rule 4-1 and 105 ILCS 5/34-84. Her recommendation included the names of the teachers affected and the reasons, and she also noted that the teachers affected will be notified of their dismissal after adoption of the resolution. And the third report is the resolution authorizing the honorable termination of a regularly certified and appointed teacher. And Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I believe that Vice President Guzman has a motion, please.
Yes, I move that the board adopt the minutes of the closed session meeting of January 23rd, 2019, pursuant to Section 2.06 of the Open Meetings Act. Board members reviewed these minutes and determined that the need for confidentiality exists. Therefore, the minutes of the closed session meeting held on January 23rd, 2019, shall be maintained as confidential and not available for public inspection.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Furlong?
Yes.
Member Garcia?
Yes.
Vice President Guzman?
Yes.
Member Ward?
Yes.
Member Goolsbee?
Yes.
And President Clark?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays. And I believe Member Furlong has a motion, please.
I move that the record of proceedings of the regular board meeting of January 23rd, 2019, prepared by the board secretary, be approved, and that such records of proceedings be posted on the Chicago Board of Education website in accordance with Section 2.06B of the Open Meetings Act.
Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Thank you. I'll proceed with a roll call. Member Furlong?
Yes.
Member Garza?
Yes.
Vice President Guzman?
Yes.
Member Ward?
Yes.
Member Goolsbee?
Yes.
And President Clark?
Yes.
6 ayes, 0 nays. Mr. President, I will now continue with the items on the public agenda and only read the board report numbers since the titles and board reports appeared on the public agenda, and I'll begin with resolutions and one board rule. These items do require a vote. We have RS1, RS2, 3, 4, and then RU1. Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll continue with the communication regarding the location of the March 27, 2019 board meeting, and it reads, this is to advise that the regular meeting of the Board of Education scheduled for Wednesday, March 27, 2019 will be held at the CPS Loop Office, 42 West Madison Street, Garden Level Boardroom. The meeting will begin at 10:30 a.m. Public participation guidelines are available on www.cpsboe.org or by calling the board office at 773-553-1600. For the March 27, 2019 board meeting, advance registration to speak and observe will be available beginning Monday, March 25th at 10:30 a.m. and will close on Tuesday, March 26th at 5 p.m. or until all slots are filled. You can advance register during the registration period by the following methods: online, by phone, or in person. To ensure equity of access to address the board, an individual may not speak at 2 consecutive board meetings. In the event an individual registers to speak at a consecutive board meeting, the individual will not be called to address the board. Although advance registration is recommended, you can also register to observe the meeting on the day of the meeting via same-day in-person observer registration at the registration time, and it opens at 10:15 a.m. Same-day in-person observer registrations are taken on a first-come, first-served basis as seats become available, and the public participation segment of the meeting will begin as indicated on the meeting agenda and proceed for no more than the 60 registered speakers. I'll continue, Mr. President, with additional items on the public agenda that do require a vote, and we have EX 1, 2, 3, and 4. Moving on to OP 1 and 2, we then have PR 1, 2, 3, and 4. Moving on to PR 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and 21. And, Mr. President, these items do require a vote.
If there are no objections from my fellow board members, please apply the last favorable roll call vote.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'll continue with one additional item that does not require a vote, and that is for AR1. Mr. President, this item just needs to be accepted by the board.
Please mark received and filed.
Thank you, Mr. President, and there are no further items on the public agenda.
Thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.